On May 5th in the Galen Center, just a little bit under a month ago, we saw APAC North throw the biggest heavyweight blow this season of the ALGS has seen, taking the championship and crowning themselves the Split 1 winners. Now, with Split 2 happening today and new challenges on the rise, such as the POI draft system being introduced, roster mania, and new teams across all the regions, the question is, will EMEA and NA bounce back and answer? We'll find out in just a bit as Split 2 is about to begin. And for those watching at home who have been patiently waiting, we appreciate you and we're excited to welcome you back to another 10 weeks of glorious competitive Apex Legends. My name is Rain Day. I'll be your host alongside two amazing casters, and I gotta give it up to my girl first to introduce her. Vicky Kitty is back on the mic here to kick off Split 2. What an exciting time it is, Vicky.
I wouldn't have it any other way, Rain Day. I cannot wait to see how these changes impact some of these teams here in Split 2.
It's always fun working with you, and it's always a great time, I'm sure, for people to hear your insights on what this time in between Split 1 playoffs and now has meant, not only to Apex, but to the talent. I know someone who's been watching very closely. He was on the desk with us just a few weeks prior at LA at the Galen Center. He's back here for the online portion of Split 2. It's Jamerson. How you feeling, buddy?
Oh, I'm feeling fantastic. Thank you so much, Day. I mean, I can't believe it's already been a month since that LAN finals. It was an amazing weekend, and now here we are. It's like the first day of school all over again. We got a lot of roster changes. We got some new things coming up this term, and I'm excited to break that all down in just a little bit.
I love that phrase because some people love the first day of school. Some people, though, they dread it. And I wonder who's going to come out on either side of this, because a split means a new season. It means new characters. It means new metas. It means new challenges. And one of the biggest challenges from any playoffs into the next split is always the rosters. Can you not only have a team, but can you, if you did well, keep your team and continue to build off of what has been an incredible season so far? Let's jump into it, because as Roster Mania does, Roster Mania did. We've seen new names and new changes just for the teams, let alone the players. Made in Heaven is now next up. Cold is Nessie. 40% worse, and Shiv Squad have gone back to the Apex Warlords, and Team Portugal, well, they're representing Go Next Now. And that's not all, Vicky.
Absolutely not. The fact that we see 40% where it's going back over to Apex Warlords and going over to the other page, Omit have been picked up by Gaming Gladiators. 2 Rats 1 Controller are now being considered as Blacklist International. So many changes out here aside from the roster changes that we've seen.
And not to be outdone, Group C here in EMEA have a lot of changes in terms of org. So LCDF are now the free agent kids. LVH getting picked up by 9 Lives Esports. And Element 6 will be now joining onto the EXO Clan banner. And ultimately, the final name change here in terms of teams, we've got Red Dragon getting picked up by DMS.
And this is one of those moments where I think you see a lot of these name changes setting people up for the rest of the year. Usually this is where a lot of the big swings are made, because we get to see the talent. And here it is in Group A, the talent that has already shown us a little bit of what they can do, whether it's Nessie, Graceful now back playing. He was on the desk with us, but Aurora, who have always been contenders, leading out probably Group A in a big way, looking like they could be LAN contenders in Split 2 if they keep it up. But there's a lot of players they've got to get through, and a lot of teams, especially in Group B, Vicky.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned Group A. Group B has its own set of heavy hitters out here. Blacklist International is definitely a team that I have my eyes on. Obviously, Gaming Gladiators after their performance earlier at LAN as Omit, especially Passion UA too, another team that I've definitely been able to see and really play things out. Full English as well, bringing in a really nice IGL to see how that's going to shape up that team. But aside from these changes, I want to hear your thoughts on Group C, Jamerson.
Yeah, ultimately, of course, Group C has a smattering of amazing teams. I think people are definitely going to be keeping an eye on teams like Alliance. Had an amazing LAN performance, of course, throughout the group stages. Did falter a little bit there when it came to the final day of play, but we know that when it comes to the regular season, Alliance will always show up. 9 Lives Esports is that new banner that our teams will be playing under, so excited to see what they bring to the table. EXO Clan and DMS, formerly, of course, that Red Red Dragon squad. I think amongst this, you have so many amazing IGLs. When it comes to the POI draft system, they're going to be tested, but for teams like Alliance and 07 with Nasky along with Hackis, they just bring so much experience that they'll be able to just roll with any blows that come their way.
It's going to be interesting. We'll have a chance to talk with Nasky a little bit later today during our halftime, but 07 looking new as well, inviting Zane back after maybe one of the biggest pop-off introductions at a LAN that we had seen last year. He's back in the mix here for a split. So that'll be exciting to see what they could build together. And I think that starts to become the conversation. Do we have the pieces? And we've seen this across North America. I won't talk about that yet, but some big roster changes where people felt they didn't have the pieces. But it goes to all of Apex. Do we have the pieces in the team now, or do we need to make a change so that we can vie for split 2 and we can vie for championships? Because it's now or never, and that has led to not just the teams changing, but the rosters themselves. Of course, when you start off in EMEA, there's a few big names that you've got to look at. And one, Nags, leaving off of 07, now joining next up. That removes Taxington so that Cinetic, who had a great time, we love that interview with his parents at LAN, Arctic and Nags find a way to make next up, potentially next up. Cybercats, the original Aurora, kind of getting back together. We've got Cleve, we've got Ranches. Sonya goes away, and Alonzi takes the place of what was Maliwan. So a team that loves to experiment and has the pedigree. Can they do it again now with Cybercats and the new representation? Go next. Well, Kashira, Slab, and Kaishia. You talked about it. No post skill with Kashira. That's a lot. The longest standing duo outside of Hal and Reps. Both of those duos now gone, Vicky. So we are truly seeing teams say it's time to break it up and mix it up.
I mean, Group A went through a rumble because aside from that, we got these other 3 teams here that went through some changes. Eternal reformed. Of course, Bambino staying on this team, but adding in Maxi and 9 Bongo. Then looking at Nessie, they have brought on Bavis. So that's going to be exciting to see how that works out with Graceful and JMW. And then, of course, we have to talk about Apex Warlords. You guys may have known them as 40% worse. Well, they're back here as Apex Warlords, losing out on Mandy and bringing in Genji.
Yeah, and you guys gave me the easy job here. Ultimately, in Group B, we've only got the one roster change, and it's the addition of Liffin and Phoenix. They're onto the full English squad. Sir Dell will be going ahead and leading that one. And honestly, Sir Dell, Max Strafey, Nasky, when you go back in Apex history, that trio has been fantastic, and whatever team they go to, they have been leading them extremely well. So I'm excited to see what this roster can pull for us today.
It's a new journey for Dell, too, who finally was able to make it to LAN this last time. Max Strafey as well, able to make it to LAN. So Dell, Max, Nasky, all having now unvaulted potential. Finding the right team is the only thing that they've got to figure out, especially as they've gone their separate ways and decided to build. I like to see Phoenix there, too, as well. Big shout-outs to him and Jay Savage, who on Forge have been doing a lot of work. They go their separate ways. Top-down overview of A versus B, which we'll see today. We've talked a lot about Group C, but they will be waiting for tomorrow for their debut. But when it looks like all these names get put together, I always, Jamerson, tend to go towards the top left, because that's not only the only blue, like light blue logo, but also the big name, Aurora, who seem to be a team that we must talk about heading into this one.
Yeah, Aurora might want to put an extra A there to be always alphabetically at the top, but I mean, their play enough does that, right? While we were at the Split 1 playoffs, they did ultimately finish 7th place overall in the finals lobby, but it was in the group stages where everyone got to see the destructive power of this roster. They were able to take multiple 2nd place finishes and the wins in their respective groups, and whenever they finished in the top 2, they have averaged 12 kills per game. It's an absolutely absurd stat to have, to average 21 points in a game in that order. And of course, you can see why this roster is absolutely stacked. Hardeki bringing up that lifeline could be a point of contention. I want to see what else he can do. And of course, they have the great staff in rugby.
Amazing stuff there. And the Grim Reaper, he used to be on another team that's also been making a splash. Not Aurora, but Gaming Gladiators, Vicky.
Yeah, I love that segue, actually. Gaming Gladiators, they finished off in 10th place here in the Split 1 playoffs, formerly known as Omit, and getting picked up respectively after their performance, too. This is a team I talked about a lot, actually, on the mic at LAN. And aside from that, they will be landing in Echo HQ and launch, as you can see right here. They're repping the Blood Bang Caustic. We have to see if that's what they're going to be rocking going into these games. As I expected, of course, we saw like 100% pick rate of Bangalore back in the APAC broadcast earlier on today. But also just the fact that these three members have been able to stick together and be able to come out with their coach like you to actually see what they need to iron out to be even better than before.
One of the greatest things about these changes is that the setup makes everything so exciting for me. Watching how EMEA has decided to bounce back. Again, now you look at APAC North, we've seen North America, we've seen APAC South. EMEA is still standing out as a region who has yet to lift that title, lift the trophy at LAN. Everyone is gunning to find the right pieces and make them fit. But of course, that challenge with rosters, that challenge with players, that challenge with how you put it together with a new meta, we've introduced another new challenge, which I'm sure many of you have heard about, whether on X or whether watching YouTube or watching streams. It's the POI draft. And they told us we had to get, just somebody who was available. Anybody really would work to record this voiceover, like just someone, just grab them and make sure that they have a voice. Well, okay, we found somebody to do it. So let's send it to the tape. They'll let you know how it works.
Prior to the Pro League regular season, each team receives a random assortment of draft picks for match days 1 through 9. The assortment is perfectly equal, meaning if a team receives the first draft pick, they'll also receive the 40th draft pick on that match day. This draft style is called a snake draft, and the order of draft picks changes with each match day, which means that teams may not always get their preferred POI. On draft day, each team will make 2 draft picks, 1 Storm Point drop spot and 1 World's Edge drop spot. Strategizing is crucial, as drop spots on both maps are up for grabs at the same time. There will always be more drop spots than teams, which means that even if you're the last pick, you'll have multiple options to choose from. Once a POI is chosen, it's off limits to all other teams for that match series. On match day, each team is dropped from an individual dropship above their drop spot. It is a whole new ALGS.
Well, it is a whole new ALGS. We've got a whole new split, but in many ways, it will minimize some of the things that from the older version of the ALGS were some pain points. And when you look at teams like E8, who we'll see later, and 07, who we'll see right now, who were plagued with contests earlier on, and yet when they got out of those contests, had 30-point bombs in finals, you only wonder what could that have meant had they just been dropping and getting into the action without having to take that initial fight and take that early risk. We'll find out, though. This is an experiment, and it's an exciting experiment as well. And I'm sure that means you are going to want to watch certain teams a little bit more than others to see how their drops, how their landing spots work out for them, which is why we've introduced Face It Watch, where you have a chance to watch your teams and their POVs, where they drop, where they start, and ultimately, if you're good at calling out a winner, where they end. Because the whole journey is not always captured here. We put together the big stories. If you want to see the small ones, the intricacies, the little moments, the comms that make the difference, and the rotations that change the game, we'll check it out on Face It Watch. Just go to faceit.com/watch and watch the ALGS your way. All right, well, it's a wonderful time, guys, to get started. It's Saturday morning for me. It's a little bit Saturday afternoon for you in Europe. You're just kicking off your evening. Well, that just means it's time for the ALGS to begin. And Vicky, Jamerson, I'm so excited to have you here with me alongside today. Why don't you take it away and let's get into it.
Thank you so much, Rain Day. Jamerson, welcome back. I'm so excited to be on the mic with you. I mean, I'm getting a little sense of deja vu here. It's been quite some time, but it's so nice to be able to sit alongside you with all these different changes, including these POI drafts.
Yeah, it's been a while, Vicky. I mean, the last time we were doing weeklies, I feel like, 2 years ago? It's been such an amazing time. And, you know, it's I think, a great time for me to join back on because it's a new era. It's like a fresh start for a lot of teams. So I'm really excited about talking more about this POI draft system.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting too. Obviously, our first 3 games we'll be seeing over by World Edge before we make that transition into Storm Point. We'll get there though when we cross that bridge, but it's about talking about these POI drafts that have changed things up a lot. Digging deeper into that and what we could expect from some of the teams that may have had that seeing advantage to see where they wanted to land for their own POI respectively.
Yeah, and it's great to see the snake system coming in. I was wondering how that was going to exactly work out. When the snake system was initially announced to me, I was like, oh, are we starting off all on World's Edge? Are we starting off all on Storm Point? No, you can actually choose between either map depending on what your pick order is. So I love that kind of depth when it comes to the draft.
It's going to be crazy the amount of stats that are going to come out of this too for the teams that get to land in their chosen POIs versus the teams that may have gotten the shorter end of the stick and seeing where these final circles may be pulling. Of course, as you saw there, the first 3 games will be on World Edge once again. The last 3 games will be on Storm Point, as it usually is. And can we take a look at this real quick and take a moment to appreciate these nice graphics that our producer put together here for the ALGS? Because look at this, we get to see which of these teams were able to peak first, where their respective picks were going to take them, and which of these squads may have preferred, you know, their POI spots between World's Edge if they had unfortunately not gotten the pick that they wanted versus Storm Point.
What's important here to note is that if you look at that last pick on this first page, it's launch site for Gaimin Gaming. It's pick number 19. What this ultimately means is that there was a pretty even split within the first half of the draft and the second half of the draft between both maps. So different teams do have different approaches when it comes to what they want to prioritize in terms of their initial map pick. If they want to put an emphasis maybe on Storm Point or maybe put an emphasis on World's Edge. But right now it's 50-50 for EMEA. And here it is, the second half of the draft. You can see Passion UA picking up Landflight there, putting themselves very central. At the tail end there, Aurora, I believe, picking up Skyhook Eastern side. I don't know how well that's going to work out for them. I mean, we've seen them coming out of Climatizer a lot, especially when we were at the group stages during LAN. But it does afford them pretty decent rotates throughout the middle of the map.
It does, especially seeing how they're going to approach just their compositions. Are they going to still rock the lifeline out here too? How would they rotate, since they will be denied the ability to go to trials and get that basic gold knockdown that's always guaranteed? But hey, with those lifeline changes that came in mid-season for last season, we will be able to see her get her care package, and seeing how their harvester pathing really kind of goes hand in hand with their pathing. And now looking at the overlook where all of our squads are going to be landing in those respective POIs. I love this, Jamerson, because obviously the second round of these drafts are in reverse order of the first, so I feel like it's pretty balanced.
Yeah, and I love that we're able to visualize this, because now we can really see, are there, while, you know, there aren't quote-unquote contests, there were still points of contention, right? If you're dropping at Monument, you're kind of hoping someone doesn't take Fragment. If you're dropping at Siphon East, you're kind of hoping no one takes Siphon West, and especially there in the southeast side of the map. Players, TRJ, they're at Mod, they're at Stacks, but no one has decided to pick up Dome. So in the southeast, that's going to open up some looting paths. If you see very northern pulls and you're deciding as a team, hey, let's just go ahead and play hard edge. We'll go ahead and slowly rotate out, take the extra loot path, go down to Dome. If we don't have our beacon, we have so many different options to actually rotate around the map that way.
Also speaks volumes for the POIs that are open for future lobbies for other teams to kind of look back on. I don't blame them for not picking Skyhook West or Dome. Dome having very lackluster loot. Same thing could be said about Skyhook West, but also that opens up opportunities for teams, like you mentioned, that do take advantage of these POIs on their rotate. What that could mean if they want to play more so by the edge, and what their loot pattern is going to look like too.
Yeah, and there are so many things to also consider here as well. Ultimately, you know, sometimes when you're finding yourself in that 10th, maybe 15th pick region where the prime spots are mostly taken, there are still a lot of like middling POI drafts that you can ultimately pick up, just because even though the loot might not be great, you can still play with your style. I think one thing to note when it comes to this POI draft is that it does kind of leave a new era of stats when it comes to Apex Legends. While we've of course taken a look multiple times over, oh yeah, damage and kills, here now with the variability of teams being able to drop at different places, I think now we can really get into the meat of the stats, right? We can see, oh, how well does this POI actually perform, even though we have anecdotal evidence of how well it performs, sometimes that kind of evidence is weighted by the strength of the team that ends up taking it, right? So now we have almost a way to kind of really test how strong these POIs are.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because now we have stats for draft preference pick POIs versus their performance within those different POIs. So that's going to be cool to see later on as we do gather more data. Like you said, like we do have basically the teams that have been able to essentially gatekeep other squads from getting into the POIs that they've already claimed in the past. But now with things changing up and now different teams landing in different POIs, how is that going to affect the consistency of these top performing teams?
And another thing to note, there are so many things, right? It's not just about the players that have to kind of adjust to this new style now. With the POI draft, we have to talk about the support staff that comes in, the coaches and the analysts. They have their work cut out for them for this split as well, because I know that they were all hard at work throughout the last, well, it was a couple days or a couple weeks for them after the POI draft was announced and we started getting into scrims. They need to start preparing loot pathings, rotation pathings, all these different maps for their players to be ready on game days. So right now I am really wanting to make sure that the coaches and the analysts, everyone gets the proper love here, because the last 2 weeks has been absolute hell in terms of preparation for them.
And also, I feel like we're seeing, I mean, in my opinion, coaches are so important in any esports ecosystem, but specifically in Apex, seeing how they've been able to evolve. And now with these draft picks, it's going to be even more important to follow through, see where other teams would like to choose as a POI for their preference. And then I also think back on teams like Gaming Gladiators. You know, they picked up the entire team of Omit, including their coach like you, the Italian coach himself, who has really been able to keep this team together. Let's not forget, they got 10th place in playoffs for Split 1. So now going hand in hand with these different POI draft picks, how is that going to affect multiple of these teams with those coaches included?
Yeah, we don't have like the huge shift in kind of like monuments, right? like that, like we had in NA so far in terms of the roster changes, but still it is going to affect them, because we always know when it comes to a new split, there are going to be growing changes when there are roster changes. And now you're compounding upon that with the new system, with the new POI draft. So this is going to be one of the most difficult splits when it comes to Apex Legends that we've seen so far throughout the 5-year history of this game.
And this is going to be, I feel like, the free-for-all first week to see how everyone does with these draft picks, too. I know everybody's waiting out on that first game. So are we, guys. We're just waiting for everything to finish off. So that way, all these teams are waiting in the lobby. Once again, game number 1 will be on World's Edge. And I can't wait to see how this plays off firsthand, Jamerson, because there's just so many things to look out for. And if these teams aren't as consistent as we've seen them in the past, when they have been able to claim these POIs, what does that mean as the outcome for those teams exactly?
I mean, you're absolutely correct too, because a lot of these teams, they're so familiar with their drop spot. Not just, you know, they can kind of go on autopilot as soon as the game starts. They do the looting path, they scan, they do whatever. But now you really do have to keep in mind at all points of the game state around you. Where are the teams around you? Who's playing around you now? Before you used to know, oh yeah, you know, if I'm dropping here as Alliance, I've got this team here that I have to worry about rotates into. Now you really do have to kind of consider every single team instead of the initial 3-4 that are around your POI. So like I said, it's every single player, every analyst, every coach are being pushed to their absolute limit for this one, and especially this weekend, Vicky, because we did have to delay the draft for it. I believe the draft for NA and EMEA took place on Thursday, so that left them with 2 days of full scrims to really prepare for this weekend.
Oof, that's little to nothing, honestly, right there. Looking back at the participating teams and the teams that we are going to be able to witness for today's EMEA squads, Apex Warlords, you know, you talk about being able to pick out here. They were one of the last squads, I believe, to try to pick where they wanted to go, and I do know that they were able to pick Devastated Coast as that last squad, and then I believe they were the second team to be able to pick on World's Edge for Skyhook West. And then even looking all the way down, you mentioned some of the changes for these POIs, but also with the dropships immediately spawning over all these teams' respective POIs, what does that also mean in terms of the timing for looting and then immediately rotating after that? Because that basically cuts the time short for them.
I mean, initially, though, it's great because it equalizes, right? We don't have the flight path anymore of the dropship going from whatever flight path, right? That's 1 point of RNG that now we are removing from the game. Everyone is getting to their POI at the exact same time. It seems like the game accelerates a little bit faster now. Looting isn't as long, and teams are starting to move out. We're looking at timings at about 30 to 45 seconds before Zone 1 starts closing, which I think does go back to earlier days of Apex Legends before teams started doing something ridiculous like trying to rotate out around the 1 minute mark, the 120-minute mark before Zone closes. But right now, everyone, I think, is still really concerned about ultimately kind of flattening out and making sure that they've got their looting path in check. And right now, one thing we do still have to consider is that, you know, we do have the variance in terms of Evo caches, of the recon scans, of the map room scans and all that such. So it does still leave a lot in terms of variance, but I think all of our teams, they've been playing for so long, they know how to go with these blows.
Yeah, and also goes hand in hand with the different legend compositions that we may be exposed to. We know in the past when we see these 50-50s play out, you usually see the fuse, you see the conduit now, how important the conduit is in these early fights with the temporary shields that she gives you. Well, we won't be really getting those 50-50s anymore, not at all with these POI drafts. So we'll be seeing a much more uniform legend comps for some of these squads that don't have to worry about those 50-50s.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of Apex South last night. Well, I watched a little bit of Apex North, and I watched almost the entirety of Apex South. And yeah, like you had mentioned, it was definitely in that realm of the Bloodhound along with Bangalore meta, and the third kind of being Flex, right? Teams have been picking up some Watson. We see Lifelines here as well, but Catalyst seems to be really that about 75% pick rate across both Stormpoint and World's Edge overall, and we see why it's so incredibly strong. It is flexible. You have access to both types of scans with that composition. So right now I'm hoping to see a little bit more out of EMEA because they do tend to play some newer things, right? We get to see Caustic, Watson composition, double controller, which is a little bit weird. Double controller types of legends, not the input, because we definitely see double controller everywhere. But right now I'm looking to see what EMEA has in store for us in terms of legend comps.
I was gonna say, you know, if anything, it's the double mouse and keyboard that usually comes out of nowhere that we're like, okay, well, we're gonna see how this usually works out for some of these squads. But yeah, it's also with seeing the legend compositions of the different POI just drafts. I'm excited to also see some of the moments and memories from Split 1, by the way, while we still wait for our first game to load in, guys. Once again, I really appreciate the patience, but I want to highlight some of the memories that we made from Split 1.
This is the Split 1 playoffs, and this is Los Angeles. We have the 40 best teams from around the world, 120 of the greatest players to ever play the game, all fighting for their chance to win a LAN and to hold up that ALGS trophy. Every single one of these players have given everything they have for months to be up on the stage, because this is ALGS.
A violent sky! Kenny hit the Braver shot! Like a Kenny clutched it up right behind him! The melee! But there's no way he hits that Sensi shot. Nasky moves in there. He has to reload. It's fine though. He beats them both. He's just better! They're waiting for them! The jump from Elevate to catch Mad Boy Team Dark Zero off guard. No banner for you. The full 307 and back up, and they're gonna send it in. Nasky stands up. No way! As all of Reject Winity, it's a massive moment for Apex. It's a huge moment for Apex North. It will be Reject Winity that will ring around this arena. Put your hands together for your winners of the ALGS Split 1 playoffs. Reject Winity.
I always get goosebumps whenever I watch that video, Jamerson. I mean, it was so nice to bring you onto the desk and to see it all play out live. But even having a different region come out on top, be crowned the champs out here, and then seeing, I mean, even Nasky popping off and standing up. I know he's no stranger to doing that, but then to see how these EMEA lobbies are going to play out, it always makes me get so excited.
Yeah, again, just building off that momentum from the LAN at the Galen Center there in LA. It was great to be back, of course, in my home state. I moved away a few years ago, and it was great to be back. I've spent plenty of my years down there around the USC area, so it was an amazing time. But here we go. We are loading in for our first game of split number 2 here in EMEA, and look at that beautiful fly through. You can see how the draft system has kind of changed up the meta in terms of drop spots. Passion will have Monument and Fragment possibly to fight over for Danish, but Danish do have a lot of looting path where they can avoid that kind of contest.
Also, as we got to see earlier, how Climatizer East, I believe it was, or West rather, was available there. Siphon West as well. You can see as its own POI that some of these teams can claim, and that's just something to know as we continuously go through these different groups, Jamerson.
Yeah, we have quote unquote, more drop spots than there are teams, but when you get to the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the draft, when you're in that 40th pick, sure, as Apex Warlords, they were able to get Sky West. When you look over on the other side, it's small, it's slim pickings overall. Devastated coast for them when we go over to Storm Point. So it has its ups and downs being so early on. Luckily for us, throughout the season, throughout this split, they will kind of try and equalize you to bring you to center. Starting off with that first pick, Atlas might get a 20th and 21st pick, and so they'll have 2 consecutive picks. But there it is, the new drop system coming in. All those drop shots taking off, hitting light speed.
Oh, I love it. I also love to see how quick some of these teams are when it comes to not only just splitting their loot pattern, but how quick they're going to be on their rotate. As a first squad that we're going to watch here at the opening show of our Split 2 EMEA action, it's going to be Apex Warlords. And you know what? We talk about how important claiming some of these POIs are. Well, now they're going to be able to take advantage of exactly the game plan that you and I were kind of theory crafting from Aurora when they landed over here by Skyhook East, or rather West. They were the ones that were rocking the lifeline. Now Apex Warlords are doing the same thing, able to get that gold knockdown shield off the rip.
Yeah, you can expect, of course, to easily be able to get yourself with the purples and reds running that lifeline. She provides that extra perk once you get over the purple with that drop. And taking a look, it looks like Cybercats here over at the Harvester's side now. We'll get a first look at the ring. I believe it is pulling over towards the western side eventually. But as the Cybercats continue the looting path, I'm trying to consider who do they have really in their way. Passion UA over at Landslide. We got Vex over at Staging. Up back north, Aurora, our team to really look at, I believe, in our A versus B today here for EMEA.
Yeah, they're going to be over by Skyhook East. And we did already note that there is a survey beacon on top of Apex Warlords, and since Aurora are already trying to rotate in that direction, still sticking with the legend compositions that we've seen them with their action before with the lifeline, we also currently see Bambino having to navigate away from Nessie. JMW playing a lot more passively here after trying to get that crack isn't going to be able to follow up with that though, and is backing away. And you talk about legend compositions, this is one of the teams rocking the Catalyst.
Yeah, Catalyst has basically become a mainstay, and we're seeing, I want to say 70-80%. I don't know the exact number, but most teams running it. That wall, especially when it comes to the mid game and for that late game final showdown, has become incredibly strong now. Teams, the full English now moving on to the western side, as they are actually flexing on to that Watson for themselves. So they want to try and get that early rotate on out, get into the center of zone and set up with this zone going to the western side. If it starts pulling towards Mirage, there are plenty of buildings for them to be able to really utilize that Watson off of.
Oh, absolutely, especially on that slight low ground there too, and it's going to be absolutely chaotic for the squads that have to be rotating through that staging side, as 0-0 also taking some shots here by the choke. Full English though, waiting, but they take some shots, revealing their spot here with the flatline. Cannot miss those. Phoenix now having to get the scan here, dropping down from that little lip of the cliff. Having to back away here still, though. They got the information that they need, but they didn't get the jump that they were expecting.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate timing. I don't know if they were going for the jump or if they just ended up rotating into it. I believe it's Passion on the other side of this one, coming out from Monument, trying to go through that south side. Crack now as they push forward. Liffin holding that angle to the left, playing off that rock. Now, they don't have quite the utility to fight, especially playing this Watson. If they had something like the Catalyst, they could get a little bit more aggressive off of this. So right now, full English will go for the full reset now and start rotating away from this pathing. They don't want anything else in terms of this fight, and they'll just go ahead and avoid this one. Go up to Monument, maybe take a different loop path, go over towards Landslide area. There are multiple ways that they can approach this, and I like that because they don't have the same kind of fighting capability. They just disengage off of that.
Huge here, and they were able to get the Evil Harvester too. That's why they were waiting here, as Go Next also engaging on a fight, as we see a knock happening in the kill feed. Still 20 squads left here too, as Go Next want to prioritize that Evil Harvester right up ahead, but we already saw teams like Aurora actually rotate out of Skyhook. A lot of these teams, even Apex Warlords, have been able to rotate through Countdown here, as next up lose out on Nags, as we saw earlier, but it's a nice little trade-off here.
Yeah, they were able to get the finish onto one as well. So it should be down to what, a 2v2 here as they try to charge forward. They're not even going to pick up Nags quite yet, but there it is. They'll consider it. Yeah, we should get him up. I mean, they've got that cost of composition. It looks like the zone is going to be ending over here by Mirage Etoile. So I think really trying to reset as a 3, get the caustic barrels down, get everything set up would be huge for them. We do have another squad, Vex, looking to possibly come in. They did see that there were trades on this fight, but the timing just wasn't there for Vex.
Whoa, you talked about the Watson compositions and hanging out inside of these buildings, Jamerson. This is exactly what Vex are going to be able to take advantage of. But while you do wait here patiently, yes, you can deter any other squads from trying to push into this position with the Watson Gen, but you're also denying yourself the opportunity to get even more loot. And rocking that double energy gun could absolutely burn through that loot.
Yeah, luckily for them, you know, one thing in terms of economy that they don't have to worry about with that Watson being set up is, of course, shield cells or batteries. And they have plenty, it looks like. It was unfortunate that, yeah, we're not able to get more ammunition. They're not going to have really any access to try and go out for a replicator to get additional ammunition there. Aurora, though, in a small engagement as they rotated out from Skyhook East to now come down to Fragment here. And the scans out. Whatever team might have been shooting them, I believe, from the epicenter side. So slow rotates out as from Team Infinite, it seems.
Oh, they're actually going to back away here too, so they're just going to let Aurora take advantage of this rotate. We do know that Blacklist International should be nearby on the south side of Fragment East. Gaming Gladiators have found themselves inside of that main building over on the north side of staging, trying to see if they could take some shots at Passion, but this worked perfectly into their legend composition that we highlighted earlier, right? We have the Catalyst, obviously, just to help them bunker down, but my biggest worry, Jamerson, is if this circle continuously keeps shifting towards Mirage Etoile, teams like Next Up could have that circle advantage uphill like we saw before.
But this could also just be the god spot for gaming, like seeing how much of their building here and staging is in wherever this zone shifts for the next ring. I feel like they're in a good spot, and especially playing off this building, I think affords them a lot of angles for teams that are kind of zone wrapping or maybe backfilling from the southern side. They'll have the angles, they have the tools to do it. You can see the flatline with a 2-4. Pretty decent tool, especially in the hands of Shiv, to try and pick up some extra kills. And like we said, the lifeline coming in for a lot of our compositions as well. So even if you try to move in for the early rotates, as long as you get your hands onto that purple, you get that extra evo cash later on. Getting yourself to the red for the red armors for the late game is an easy task. Taking a look at the map, though, this is going to be pulling away from Mirage Etoile. We have about 4, maybe 5 teams in that area right now, and if we were talking about a pileup, it looks like it's going to be there on the western side of the map.
That is going to be a bloodbath looking at that choke away from Mirage, even through the north side there too. I'm wondering how Apex Warlords are going to be able to rotate. Something about seeing Shiv on that lifeline makes me just think back to him screaming lifeline, but this time he's not on the Bangalore, right? He's going to be able to try to get his teammates up to par with that Evo cache that you mentioned before. But Infinite have taken an evac tower already to try to prioritize that northern rotate, but there's so much open area, open ground for these teams to have to worry about once they start rotating through that south side of Countdown.
Another pileup we have is over here on the northern side, over at Countdown. Multiple teams go next. Atlas, Dana showing up as well, and Apex Warlords coming up from the northeast for Eternal. They're looking to gatekeep a lot of these teams and pick up some free kills as the fights take place. They have a beautiful angle off of it for now, but Go Next Esports just kind of biding their time here. They've got 20 seconds before the zone closes, so they're under no real pressure to push in quite yet, but they are still going to try and take their time to find these angles. Right now, though, for Kashera, for Slab, they can just wait things out. There's no impetus here early on. Of course, with our first game of the day, with our first game of the split, no one really wants to go down in 20th, and unfortunately, I believe that was Passion UA.
Say goodbye to them earlier on. While full English with the scan, they know that there's a team right below them here. Believe that's going to be Trojan, who are rotating through that tunnel side of the vault. And that means they're also going to be rotating right in the open arms of Gaming Gladiators that we saw that have not moved from the exact building that we saw them in. But full English will also be able to just hold the split ground here over by Landside. See other squads that are trying to rotate in here, as well as Apex Warlords will try to get ahead.
Yeah, it looks like there was a small skirmish here over that Evo cache. Liffen was keeping his eye on it. Unfortunately, a full 3-man was there. It was the Apex Warlord. So they were so close to the purples, and now they'll just have to wait that one out. You can see the early rotate now. Go Next, trying to avoid a lot of this fighting that's taking place over at Countdown. But in their move, they end up using a lot of their utility. The Bloodhound ultimate was popped for that one. They get themselves under this bridge, and this is one of those positions where it can all go wrong. Aimbot from long distance ends up getting the knock onto Kai, and there's no way to recover, as yeah, losing out on that catalyst is so unfortunate. But it doesn't seem like they've drawn that much attention. Eternal was definitely looking to try and gatekeep on that northern side, but they were able to swerve and kind of avoid that extremely well at the very least. They're still up as a 2-man. They were able to pick up that beacon, so maybe they can rotate north, go a little bit late over towards the Countdown side to try and bring them in. I don't see a Moby in the hands of Slab. Maybe Kashera has one for the squad.
Aimbot living up to his name for real out here with that Hemlock. So they are going to be able to get away, at least for right now, while teams like Eternal, who are neighboring them on that slight high ground. Bambino, no change up here, always on that Fusey. See how this works out here for Eternal while they are locking down this building for now, but they could also try to gatekeep other teams from trying to get that Evil Harvester next to them, while they also try to get more information on the squads that may be trying to go for some of these desperate rotates. They don't have to worry about any teams coming out of the circle, more so squads coming out of the sky like Aurora, who've been able to find themselves in that northern side of the edge of Countdown Circle.
I love this when you make that late balloon in, right? When you need to go for the recess, when everyone's aim is somehow on point and they're tagging you, you get that dock drone down. And so the timings for a lot of these fights, teams can't immediately aggress onto them. And so they get themselves here to the northern side, but this zone, this next one, will continue to pull to the south side. So they will have to deal with this. They will have to keep moving. They don't really want to get too involved in this one, even though it is Aurora. They do like to get into a lot of these mid-game fights.
No, absolutely. Just like Ardeki apparently really likes his green tea out here too. Saw that tag. Forbidden though, losing out on Plexus. Losing out on that Bloodhound though early on is very detrimental. They still have that wall that they can use if they want to try to go around this building, but having to navigate around here first, want to take advantage of the Catalyst being able to barrier these walls.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I really love about the Legend system, right? When it comes to the upgrades, now you get to really choose, hey, what do I, for Catalyst, I think has the most depth when it comes to these maps. But hold on, let's talk about this engagement right now. Forbidden having to utilize that Bang ultimate here as they are getting beset on all sides. Aku dropped down low, needs to hit up a bat, but you can see Go Next now setting the trap. They are setting up to try and 3-man push into this.
Infinite get eliminated in your feeds here as next up are trying to find a different angle. Huge space created off of that Bengal earlier on. They've still been able to secure, but a nice angle from Cinetic with the Havoc blaring through. No turbo necessary here. Well, the feed continues to light up. Arctic takes a different angle, and next up come out on top, wiping out another squad.
And this was such an important fight for Next Up as well, because they were one of the 4 teams, I believe, that were in that Mirage Etoile area. And so this kind of split up into 2 different kind of fights, right? I believe Eternal, along with Nessie, kind of stayed in the Mirage Etoile area, while Next Up ended up rotating to the south, and they rotate into another team. That's going to be the Gaming Gladiators Light getting instantly lit up.
And that was them trying to take advantage of that fight, maybe to try to put themselves in a third-party situation here. And next up are just mowing down the competition. Kashira in the feed, also going crazy, getting a knock onto 9 Bongo with that nade here. Backing away, just trying to pop that ultimate accelerant. But next up, now currently have the high ground here. Gaming Gladiators still trying to recover with 16 squads left, now playing off that low ground after they had given up that building earlier onto players.
They do have the respawn available to them, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get that banner. Unfortunately, it's kind of out in the middle of that entire next up squad. Vex is also on that bridge right now, I believe. That was the scan that connected onto next up, the counter scan out there. Yeah, it is Vex there on the low ground. Got another squad underneath them as well. That's going to be Passion looking to survive, but this is going to be the murder bridge in just a moment here. The zone starting to pull up to that empty ground to the north of staging.
So the fact that this circle is pulling out into the middle of nowhere, forcing the teams to also give up high ground, maybe playing off of the little lip of the bins that are offered for the teams that are on the sticks out here. But Full English have not given up landslide side here too, as Na'Vi get eliminated. Third are going to meet them back in the lobby, and I love the split position that we're seeing from Full English while they continue on this fight versus Apex Warlords, and now Trojan have made an appearance.
Yeah, I feel like they might be kind of baited into this fight, though. I mean, sure, this is a great position to play off of landslide here as the teams are coming in from the zone right now, but you need to start moving, and there we go. As that countdown hits 0, they are going to go ahead and give up that high ground for Liffin. They're going to start backing away. They need to have Watson ready in position to set down another generator. They see someone hitting the evac tower. A lot of connects there from Phoenix. No knocks, though. That generator, though, definitely giving them a lot of value now, starting to back away. Zone closing in, 30 seconds remaining.
It's still going to be huge here to see what Blacklist is going to do once they land off of that evac tower, taking some of that damage here. The circle closing in right behind the Warlords' backs. Full English taking full advantage of this, popping the Beast of the Hunt, now trying to get into a different position. Huge damage here from their side as they take out another squad. Very tough rotate there for Apex Warlords. Nessie are also going to be eliminated in your feed, and this was the bloodbath that we were expecting to see from the squads that also had to exit out of Mirage Trois.
Yeah, Full English definitely wanted a little bit more out of there. They wanted to be able to maybe snipe away a few free kills for themselves. Unfortunately, it just did not work out for them. But ultimately, they put themselves in this really strong position. Now they're on top of the bridge. We've got a big fight breaking out now as Aurora ends up cleaning house. Danish, though, coming in for the third party, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Back here on the south side of the map right now. Next up, big trades. Arctic and Nags are down as they're trading away these Arc Stars here to try to get the finishes. Kinetic needs to take some time out of this fight. Back away for the time being. Does some big damage here and is able to win out on that 1v1, but the third party looking to clean things up now. Cinetic gets a quick armor swap here. Now the Bang ultimate coming as his teammates will get finished off.
That was so huge there too, because he put the Arc Star to build up that space, prevent another push from the second player. As players now coming in, it's not just Bambino on that Fusey, it's also Bitcoin coming into play from players, and now they've completely taken control over this high ground bridge. Having to look at the squad that's on that lower side though. Believe that may be Cybercats as a duo, trying to take different angles to try to harass players. Having to be careful though, they do have a lot of cover to work with here.
Yeah, we're at 5 squads remaining, 13 players left. That's going to leave us with 2 teams as duos right now. Cybercats and I believe Passion, who are playing right underneath players here. Players hitting up all of the ultimate excels, getting ready for this final fight. I mean, you need to make sure you get it ready. You can see Bitcoin hitting up another one. The Motherload here in the final circle basically encompasses the entire one. Aurora have not slowed down whatsoever now. Getting a knock there onto one of the Full English members as the zone closes in. Don't know if they'll be able to recover him in time. It does look like they do get the res, and now Aurora looking to control this bridge.
And we already know that Aurora absolutely has that gold knockdown out here too, thanks to the lifeline. You talk about the fuse being so impactful in these later circles, and Night Impulse gets deleted as they see the opportunity. They immediately waste no time to dive onto the top of Aurora, but Hardeki is still alive. He gets a knock onto Cats. He gets the finisher out here too. I believe there's still one more member of Cybercats alive, but can Hardeki do it as he gets the rise on the other side into Oriren? He pops a shield bat. He forces the last member of Cybercats to get away. Why are you running? He's forced to reload, and the kill gets taken from him from players that have height, but at least Aurora is still alive.
Yeah, and that's huge. The lifeline coming in for Hardeki. I mean, a lot of people, of course, gave him some flack for going down frequently first in the fights, but you can see the value of the lifeline staying alive. Ultimately, they will get cleaned up. And now we're down to our final 3 teams. We got full English, we got Passion and Players. It's full English and Players up as full 3, and Passion playing off the southeast side as that duo here. No team really with priority on this zone, as Passion might actually have a little extra cover there. You can see the rock that they can play off of, but for Players, they have so much height. It might actually be the last team out. That might be the gut spot.
Combo for the Storm as the different angles are trying to be taken. It's such a bad spot to be in here as full English take care of that squad, but Players have the God spot, the game-winning advantage that they could be holding in right now. And of course, we cannot ignore the fuse. It's just a matter of time while they try to take this slowly. The Motherload has been called in just to circle the rock that they're trying to take cover from, but Lifefin just stands there. Unfortunate for him, as he was so low, he gets beamed off the high ground of the rock, and it's just a matter of time as Surdell meets his demise, and Players holding that high ground take game number 1.
And what an amazing finish there for Players. Ultimately, they were able to come in from the southern side there, move in through the main building that I believe we saw Gaiman Gladiators play off of, and then really utilize that position, that land bridge to get over towards more over to the Mirage side. And you can see how strong that position ultimately ended here in that final circle.
Allow them to get the rotate quickly here too, but it also allowed them to get a lot of that damage done looking at the fuse and the knuckle clusters, forcing everybody to be funneled out of their way, especially a very clean fight versus Aurora, who were dominating the lobby, mowing everybody down before forcing them to drop down from the high ground, which ultimately was the game-winning change up there for Players.
Still, though, amongst our top 3, you know, we had full English being able to pick up a few kills there on that landslide rotate in, on the backfill coming out from a lot of the northern squads there. They were able to steal a few and pick up the last 2 of, I believe that was Passion, off that little off angle. It was just really unfortunate that Players had such a dominant position, but the full English squad did an amazing job off of the circumstances that were handed to them.
There's only so much you could do when you're stuck on the low ground right there, and you're just sitting ducks essentially for the squad that has the high ground to just take advantage, including the Motherload as well that they had waiting for that opportunity. So that way, even if they did try to rotate from that cover that they had before the circle was closing in, they still would have taken that damage.
Yeah, getting those ultimate excels as well. I mean, you saw how they put the focus on to that fuse. I believe he popped 2, maybe 3 at the end there. And ultimately, in the end, they were able to pick up 9 kills off of that. And with the plus 12 from placements, that's going to put them 21. Amazing way to start off day number 1 for Players.
Absolutely. Even looking down at Passion with 4 KP, Aurora that we mentioned before with 8 KP next up, also getting so many kills here. This entire top 10 side of this game 1, pretty kill heavy in general, even looking at Blacklist International out here, but Players obviously taking that dub, and that 9 KP is going to skyrocket them.
Yeah, and I was noting for Aurora, when we were at LAN during group stages, whenever they hit, you know, were able to get the top 2, they averaged 12 kills. They were definitely well within that range. If they could have survived just a little bit longer there on the northern side, they could have definitely hit second placements along with 12 kills. At the bottom of the leaderboard, Passion UA was the first team to go down. I mean, we saw them, of course, hitting that early rotate into full English, and that did kind of slow them down immensely there. And I think that might have been one of the turning points for them in that game.
Actually crazy to see how this first game really played out for our squads that have now been able to experience what the POI draft has done for some of these teams and their rotates, but also goes hand in hand on where these circles are going to be pulling Jamerson. And we saw a lot of teams get whiplash expecting that circle to be pulling to Mirage Etoile, just for them to see that it was pulling over to the other side of the rocks.
Yeah, and so I mean, it was important, right, for teams like Go Next to play a bit more of a flexible position. For the teams that ended up really hard committing into the Hot Spring side, right, the bottom side of Mirage Etoile, or even playing off of Mirage itself, that the rotate was a little bit more difficult. You saw teams like Nessie and Aurora really holding them out on the northern side. For Go Next, playing that flex position, being able to have more room to really play off of, rotate into an isolated fight there on the south side, worked out to their benefit.
It was great. Great first game that we had here in EMEA. And after this break, we got so much more action for you guys coming to you for game number 2. Let's see it all play out once again on World's Edge.
Alienware is the official PC and monitor partner of the Apex Legends Global Series. Welcome back. Match 2 about to get underway here. Rain Day and Jamerson. We were experimenting with a little, combo name, Jane Day or Rainerson. You like Rainerson. I'm ready to go with it, but it's good to be on the mic with you, man, and get ready for game 2.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I'm really excited for this one. I am definitely, of course, in the camp of Janerson, but Rainerson.
Janerson. I mean, you just
the combination.
You just took the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But so far, game number 1 worked out amazingly there, getting that finish off on that northern staging side. I think was a breath of fresh air. That was an amazing finish for players. I think, it's interesting because now we get to really talk more about how this draft system really does affect them, because this here on World's Edge, 4 players, they took the dub. That was their second choice. I believe that brought them down to 35th pick for their drop spot when it came to World's Edge. And so again, now we get to really get into the meat of statistics when it comes to the POIs here. How much does it really matter? Or is it really user error when it comes to losses? And is it just, the carpenter or the tools at the end of the day?
It's pretty amazing too. And looking at these stats as well, Aurora, that was their 34th pick as well, their World's Edge pick. They prioritized Stormpoint. And so I think when you consider that, yes, there is this new kind of stat to be brought up, I think it's a great point, because yes, there are teams who are looking at the draft and where they start and from the beginning of Apex as maybe the most important element to it. But we're going to see if that holds water, because at this point, we're seeing a lot of teams perform. Yes, it's just one game. We don't have a big enough sample size, even though they were on the bottom side of these picks. And I think that's something that, whether it's right or wrong or whatever the results yield, I think that's a really interesting discussion, Jamerson. And it helps us also see what are the turning points in Apex, because a lot of people do consider where you land, what you do, how you start the game. That is the big turning point, but we'll see if it is.
Yeah, I was actually wrong there. So it was 26th pick for players coming out from them. So while it was their second pick, they were still in the middle of the pack, being in that 20 between the 15th and 25th, right, where you get pretty much back-to-back picks. I mean, it's still middling kind of POIs. Ultimately, you don't get the high priority ones, but you can see that you don't need the high priority ones to pick up the dub. Again, this was a pretty far rotate for them, coming from the stack side, going all the way over to the western side, but ultimately they were able to slow play from that south side zone. I think they came in really strong ultimately with the Evo cash pathing that they were able to take. So yeah, it really does, I think, come down to the teams and players at this point. I don't think the POIs have as big of an influence that I think a lot of people think.
Well, and you know what? The other thing, too, that we can parse in as we get ready to go into game 2, everyone, we're excited. Game 1 players take it full English right away, making themselves known with the new roster, which I'm very excited about, is what does the heat paths of where you land and where you end up with these zones end up affecting you? Because a lot of times we've seen, a lot of the fact that it ends south on Stormpoint quite often, that it has a harder time ending east versus west on some of these maps. You see these little trends, but there's also a bigger just general map trend of where the chokes are, where people funnel into traditional spaces when they're just playing Apex. Where do most fights occur? And sometimes you do get to see that, some undervalued locations where people look to land, maybe that doesn't have the best initial loot. Maybe though, the pathing really does help some of these teams to find a way to be more effective getting into their god spots or their priority positions, heading into executing their game plan later on, Jamerson. So there's a lot of detail and there's a lot of things to uncover. I just like it because there's a lot of theory crafting involved as well. I'm sure the fans are getting into it right now too, to see, that's what they should have picked. That should have been the spot. All in all, though, it just creates for more entertaining discussion here in the ALGS.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to be a hindsight Harry when it comes to that. Right now, we are living it. We are seeing it live. And we do have to know, we have to put a caveat, I think, to this weekend's games, because, again, it's 2 days of preparations, right? Once the draft came out, those teams ultimately did get their POIs when it came to the scrim blocks. And so this is the least amount, I would say, of preparation that teams have going into game day. Moving forward, I believe we will be doing drafts a little bit earlier on, but we did have to push it back for the roster finalizations.
Well, as we get into match 2, we'll be again on World's Edge. We'll do the first 3 there, and then we'll switch over to Stormpoint to end the sets for today. And as this series continues, we've seen the new POI draft take precedence as the main topic of conversation, but will that be the main determinant of who takes the win? We're still debating that one, and we're watching it play out as Go Next had a pretty decent start. And of course, Passion taking all of Sky East and Fragment potentially, unless Danish try to get into it. Jamerson, what are your thoughts so far overlooking at some of these positions? I know you talked about it with Vicky, but as we get into match number 2 and we take a look at the legends that are being selected, as to who's just caught your eye in game 1?
Oh, definitely. I loved the position that we were seeing out of teams like Nessie. I think if they could have stuck around a little bit longer when we were over at that Mirage Etoile side, when that zone rep was coming in, when the zone was closing in on them, I think they had a lot of opportunities to really try and find some extra KP there. Unfortunately, they weren't really able to utilize that position because a lot of free rotates kind of came in from the north side. Aurora were able to get in. I say free, they did get into a slight sticky situation where on their landing they did have to full heal, but that lifeline allowed them to be able to kind of catch the momentum and move a lot faster in terms of tempo. Now though, as we get into the game, we do get to see how when you do have some of these POIs that aren't drafted, right? Like Dome, you can do a split like for players. Even though they're over here on the southeast side, no one ends up picking Dome. Teams that are over at launch site, teams that are over at stacks, maybe even mod, there's a slight possibility to try and stretch your drop to get all the way over there and increase your looting path.
All those things so important as well as we kick off the 20 teams over here in Skyhook and just check out Apex Warlords who are jumping in. 40% worse. Shiv and that squad did not have the best season of last season, not qualifying for LAN, trying to adjust it with the roster changes as they head into it. And we get a big overview of the map. It looks like Epicenter is going to be the center of the action, Jamerson, as we get into match 2. Teams from the south going to have to move away, but Apex Warlords, Aurora, they'll be right there to approach from the northeastern side.
Yeah, this is where it's going to be super important to have yourself a control legend, right? So you want to have either the Watson or the Catalyst here because there are multiple ways that this one can go. You definitely don't want to just assume this one ends up going into survey camp because a lot of times teams, when they don't have that information, they decide to just go into survey camp, take one of those buildings. Well, we all know what that rotate out looks like when we have about 7 teams inside survey camp and it ends up pulling over towards the Epicenter side, the northern side of Epicenter towards the rocks, right? Only one team can basically survive that rotate. So you want to have that information. You definitely don't want to kind of pigeonhole yourself in to that particular spot.
Speaking of meta and choices as well with controllers, we've seen the end of Caustic essentially and the beginning of Catalyst. It feels like no matter what, a C is going to take the place of the first letter of whatever legend is filling that role. The Bloodhound and the Bangalore as well. Oh my God, we're doing our ABCs here when I really think about it. The B for both of them and the C's for the controller, but ultimately they've just been the unstoppable duo. Bangalore, Bloodhound, the vision, and of course the safety, the utility with the smoke. And now Catalyst coming in to add a little bit of a mix to that. How are your thoughts on Catalyst jumping into this meta, being a priority pick for a lot of these high legends, alongside the likes of Watson, but really focus on the Catalyst here and her impact being back?
Oh, hold on one second though. Gaiman Gladiators down here at Dome in a fight. Light getting some great damage off with that Prowler now. We'll continue to try and chase after Kazakh, and that would be huge. Players had a massive game number 1. If they get shortstop here, they're going to basically be back. Oh, Kazakh. Oh, I don't know if he was just being greedy and trying to go for this loot, but that's a huge pickup for GG.
Major stuff there from Gaiman. Again, Light, Blast, and Lufka trying to find their rhythm here at the start of this new split. It's obviously not a good look for players who come off of a win and about 20 points, 21 points to their name, losing a player right there. They're not out though. Still 20 squads left as JMW on the side of Nessie alongside Graceful and Bavis find that console to see exactly where that ring is going to be, and they've got a good idea, like everyone here. And Trojan got a good idea. There's somebody behind that rock, just testing with the grenade, trying to poke out and see if they can get a little head peek there. Antonym maybe getting a little aggressive.
Blacklist International on the other side of this fight, I believe. Both teams kind of just hitting the same timings as they got through this choke point from Geyser and Lava Siphon, respectively. It's going to actually free things up for teams to move through. I think next up makes their way into Fragment right now. Lots being utilized here. An Evo Cache as well for Trojan to pick up, and it'll be nice for them. There it is. double pick up for Trojan as they back away. So definitely worth to invest into this fight now as they back away, and they'll get a free rotate up to the north now.
Benefits of this type of style as well is you do put somebody on the back foot if you can come out on it. You do waste a little bit of time in that skirmish, but you could find something from there just knowing that you kind of made it out with an advantage, and you've also been a little battle tested. That's the thing that teams with Watsons, with Catalysts allow you to do. Just be able to take fights in a bit of more open space outside of these buildings where people love to hold up in World's Edge and still have an option defensively, whether it's a pylon, whether it's a huge dark veil. Serdell, though, no options to survive there. The full English eaten up, and Artico will help with passion to clean up our second place team for match 1. They'll be out waiting for a chance back at it in match 3.
Yeah, our first and second place teams really struggling here at the early onset. You can see now a lot of teams approaching to try and get a position here inside of survey camp. It's Vex who have lost out on Denze right now, currently on the ground. They don't even have the pylon down, unfortunately, here. So this reset is going to be very difficult for them, as it looks like Babylon might drop here fairly shortly. Luckily, though, a third party is going to allow them to survive, maybe even get the res onto Denze.
Vix trying to just stay alive. Clemmy G gets the res, and with 150 extra Evo is going to be able to get to purple. That won't be enough, though. Asher pops in, takes him out. Danish, they're eliminated alongside it, but Babylon's from Vex still representing his one, using the knockdown shield. Could get greedy, try to go for a thirst, is already swapped. There's a thermite, forces him ahead. And it looks like it's just danger all around. Atlas will hold up the end of that fight, and Black Venom, Thor, and Zuni will take a kill and take Vex down.
Yeah, don't know what the ultimate catalyst of this entire fight was. Typically, you see on the survey camp side, when the zone pulls up north here like this, that teams are more than okay with just kind of coexisting and really trying to survive as the top 15 at the very least. But that was some aggression coming out from all those squads there. Over here on the Monument side, though, Cybercat's getting to a small engagement. Ratches taking some damage here. But ultimately, it does look like it is fairly clear. On this side, they're going to start wrapping away towards, looks like, Fragments, and I'm wondering why. Oh, that's exactly why. There's a little bit of a pile up of team. It's going to be Passion UA in a very strong position here on the high ground, really gatekeeping them. So really, for Cybercats, they utilize that information, they avoid that one. There's almost no way for them to try and get up. But with multiple teams rotating in from the southwest like that, they'll try and wrap in from the east side. They do have access to it. They can come in from that epicenter side, but they might run into Blacklist International. Gaiman Gladiators still over here in the zone right now. Yeah. I saw earlier on, someone got a knock onto one of them. It looks like, yeah, players might have tried to go back for the banner. They are currently down to just one player now, possibly going for the res there on that Climatizer side.
You see the urgency with so many of those southern teams rotating up north, finding that control legend to hit that controller, and then obviously know exactly where and how far they have to travel. So Diamond Gladiators, the only one who have taken their time, but that could be in their benefit, is while the zone is one of their only enemies now, they've got everyone else to play in front of, and they can play behind a lot of the traffic. So hopefully something good comes from there. Other teams, though, have decided, let's find our spot and let's hold it down. That's one of the smartest men in Apex there. He usually joins us on the desk if he hasn't qualified. It's Graceful alongside JMW, a LAN winner with Reignite, and our first LAN back after our long time online during the COVID stretch. They've got a lot of skills able to do it. They've sitting pretty in a nice zone, but Epicenter, Cybercats, they're starting to get into it as they made their way down towards the bottom.
Scan out. Now they do have that mother load going down, but they're already down a man, and so Trojans are going to look to take advantage of that. With the scans from the other side, with the Beast of the Hunt being popped, they're not really going to try and force this one at this point. They can just kind of wait that one out. They don't want to just, you know, do an unforced error like that. Remix Power's almost going down to the Knuckle Cluster there. We'll be able to survive. They've got the Watson to set up and make it basically impossible to push them right now. So a little bit iffy there, a little bit iffy there. But yeah, going back to your point, Nessie were able to swerve into a very strong position. I believe they were expecting this ring to continue to pull up to that northeast side. Basically, we've seen so many circles between them and Survey Camp ending out on that high ground rock. But surprisingly enough, this ring ends up pulling away towards Epicenter. We have about 7 teams currently in there. Trojan I believe, are playing on that low ground. So no team actually in position on the high ground of Epicenter right now, dead center of it.
Gladiators about to approach Cybercats. And this is actually it right here. Alonzi and Ranch is having to pull back. That was the fused knuckle cluster pressure that you saw earlier being dealt with down at the bottom of Epicenter. Now Gaiman Gladiators, we said they have everyone to play, and no one can play behind them, basically everyone in front of them, and that helps in this type of situation when you need to be aggressive. You're forcing a team to go into the middle, be the meat of that sandwich, and Lights makes quick work out of Alonzi with the Nim assist. Prowler to back him up if he's got a swap. Oh, but a nice 36 through the smoke. It's going to provide a lot of value there, and they should finish that KP off. I believe Cybercat's still up. It might be Ranches somewhere. Just surviving, but Gaiman Gladiators in the nice spot here on high.
Yeah, the great part about this is that if they do have access to an evac balloon, they can actually access that high ground, that tower, middle tower. I don't believe anyone's there. They've already done the scouting. They've already looked at it. And so it should be free. It might be actually Na'Vi up there now, had that same idea. So unfortunately for Gaiman, they ended up taking a small engagement there that delayed them. It might be Na'Vi with a huge power position now.
Yeah, it's a good spot too. If you're watching in your games, you might be wondering, well, you know, I get pushed from that spot all the time. People just int basically, and it's pretty much a death sentence, especially in a lobby like this, just because of how much more control and how much more of a threat are the teams. That if you don't make it up there right away, and even if you do, that on the way from the bottom or the sides, high ends of Epicenter will be shooting at you. And so Na'Vi certainly in a power position at the top up there. But I like these kind of outside plays that Gaiman Gladiators are doing. Keep an eye on them as we transition over towards tunnels. Apex Warlords, they have been there the entire time, and now Eternal at their back trying to contest them. Apex Warlords going to have to survive this one, and they're also going to have to make a move quickly because they are out of zone, and in 40 seconds they are going to be in some serious trouble if they don't handle this.
They're also running out of time on that Beast of the Hunt. It is gone now, but they've done enough damage, it looks like, to really dissuade this one. We'll see if they decide to push forward. Utility is starting to run out for them. Fortunately, no nades in the hand of Genji. Oh my goodness, the cross there. Right as the scan comes out, you couldn't get better timing than that. Zeraphir, though, on the low, will start backing away. Time is ticking for both of these squads. You have 11 seconds, 10 seconds now before the zone starts closing in, and you don't really have information about the outside. You don't know how much of Survey is available right now, and you don't really want to rotate that loosely. Apex Warlords, though, trying to chase after Eternal, now taking the evac tower here to get out, but a lot of damage has already been done. They do get out of that. Huge fight here in the north, though. Nessie versus Infinite. This will clear up a lot of the congestion that we have on the northern side right now, though. Infinite with the wall down. Kazarian getting tagged up from the south. That's going to be Forbidden. Looking at the third party, this one has Nessie back away.
Shots from aimbot. Staying true to the name right now, but he needs to dodge these. It's not about the aim, just staying alive. And Infinite, they seem like they bought just a little bit more time. Find their self nestled next to this rock. 16 squads left to go as things are getting tighter and tighter in this final zone. Round 3 closing up. Still a chance. Aurora, Hardecki finding kills on Bambino. Nessie looks to go down, and they will. Maxi follows also. Hardecki and Aurora making their push from the western side, and now they may run into Passion, but Infinite still alive, at least for now, but they get exploded there. A huge wall comes up. Gashera gonna do his best to try to stay involved there, but Dekwi just saying, please, not me. And no, it is certainly Forbidden comes in and cleans that one up.
Now a lot of this north side is starting to get cleared up, but the traffic jam is not over quite yet as they have to pack away from this third-party attempt. Forbidden now able to get one knock, but it's a trade there. As Forbidden are left to just Calamitous try to find the flank. Got that double time going, and he will be able to secure that. Needs to get his teammates up just in time here. No one looking at third party this one. Huge play coming out from Calamitous, really utilizing that Bangalore. And, you know, despite bullets being on the other side of the wall, you still get that double timing, and they were able to utilize that ultimate, that speed to really get that flank. Aurora, though, on the outside, trying to get the respawn onto OJ right now. They are getting pushed. You do have the Rolling Thunder going down, and OJ into the fire here as that Bangalore ultimate goes off. But Aurora will be able to reset now and start making their way on in. They've got 16 seconds before the zone starts closing up, and they have to move fast.
Would have imagined that that team felt they had a crypto ultimate, could push on that. Not with Aurora. Hardeki does about 90 damage as they're trying to approach, and that could just seal the deal right there. Sometimes you got the best kit, you got the coolest ultimate, and somebody's got a hemlock, and his name is Hardeki, and it just shuts you down. At the end of the day, Passion, though, still holding them out, and a big shot from Sonya. What else can they do? Max Strafeys got the pylon set up, so no grenades are going to do it. Bangalore ultimate, they'll be safe from it. Aurora's looking like they're going to maybe have to go around and not be able to contest against Passion. That'll put them in the line of sight of Forbidden, but it depends on how far Aurora will push forward. Passion, they will have to move, but I think they've dealt with the Aurora threat for now, Jamerson.
Yeah, it was a good position for them. Ultimately, with that pylon, basically invulnerable. OJ taking the lead. They will be the first one to go down now. As you can see, as Forbidden start making their move, Go Next are right on top of them. They've already gone one, maybe two down here. Bang Ultimate will force them back at the very least, but they are safe. They've got this high ground house. It is in for the next zone.
Next up, doing so much work there. You can see Nags actually from a distance taking down one of Passion. Aurora also had fallen. While one stays alive, Passion and Aurora have essentially cannibalized each other there. And so neither of them will make it in with a full team, though both teams still represented in our top 11. Soon, though, to be probably a top 10, top 9 as the zone continues to push in. It will move north. Next up in a good spot, though, here to approach from high and still be in zone. So I'm loving where they're sitting, Jamerson. Obviously, you can see Calamitous and Plexus. They've got the other side of things, so they are safe for now, but it's going to be tough for that duo to win. Go Next are in a good spot, and so are Gaming Gladiators, who are still alive, still on that southern side, and really haven't had any pressure throughout this entire game.
Yeah, I think they were able to take that high ground away from
Na'Vi.
I want to say it was Na'Vi. Yeah, Na'Vi that was playing it and ended up wiping them. But this is still going to be a difficult position for Gaming Gladiators. There are multiple rats around there. You got Aurora, you got Passion, you got players. And so when you add in that many variables, it's going to be really crucial for your Bloodhound character to be able to get the max value scan here. He needs to be able to spot out, or they need to be able to spot out every single rat on that jump down, because climbing, we know how hard this uphill rotate can be coming out from Epicenter, especially when you have teams like Next Up who are set up in a beautiful house on the north side. Now they do have to worry about Go Next, who are looking to contest with them, and that might be the opening that Guymen need to actually get up there.
All right, well, we got a chance to take a look at Passion. Let's see and listen in as to how they approach this final zone.
Find the pill. 50 on. I'm ready. Running. I'm a swing that.
Crack two, back low.
Bang dead. I've got back.
I'm reasonable, I think. What have you got?
Right,
in the team. Okay, 60.
Blood one. On your back, Zero.
Alright, fine.
Yeah. It's a good game.
5 of 8. Holy, my God.
Let's go.
Me in my face.
Let's go, boss.
All right, Go Next here, still alive. Blast as well, and Kashera here. Gaming Gladiators, they fought from the outside, the southern side, but they're trying to climb all the way up to Epicenter and be the top of this lobby. And it's just a matter of taking a win. Blast taking too much damage, though, Jamerson. Can he do it by himself and get this res off?
Oh, this is so difficult. You can see Next Up have set up basically on that high ground. They were able to force Go Next down and basically create all this space for themselves. Next Up now starting to lurk on in, and they are going to be able to finish this off, or at least they should. It's a 3v2v1 ultimately. Guymen Gladiators, though, if they get a knock here onto Cinetic, there might be an opportunity, but no, Blast will fall. Guymen Gladiators somehow go down. It's Arctic there. Cinetic did enough damage. Next Up now looking to finish things off. Go Next. It's all Kashera left here in the 1v3. Let's see what he's got.
While their team plan, and composition might have been made in heaven last split, it seems like these boys truly are next up in this one as they take game number 2 of split 2 to show the world that they are here and they're ready to play. Cinetic, Arctic, Nags take the dub.
Man, that was just beautiful macro play.
Yeah, it was great, man. And this is a team, too, that, we talked about Cinetic in LAN, and he had his family there traveling from Europe to support him, and it was so close. This team almost, the iteration of it just a month ago, almost made winners finals. And from a European standpoint, for a team like this who isn't the Auroras, isn't the Alliances, isn't the 07s that we might expect to be there, it was a tremendous showing. They've got all the tools now that they need. It feels like Nags coming in might have been that lift that they needed to really push themselves to that next level. It's a huge sign of progress, I think, and a lot of good things to come, Jamerson, for next up to get that.
Yeah, and I loved what I saw out of them, really controlling that northern side. They had 1 point of pressure. I believe that was going to be Go Next coming in from the zone close there on the northeast side. They were able to pressure them down. They had full control over the God spot on this one. I mean, a lot of teams were expecting this one to maybe pull into Epicenter, but a lot of times when it comes to that kind of ring pull, when you have the chance of playing a little bit more flexible and rotating basically into Epicenter instead of out of Epicenter, you're definitely going to want to take that risk where you're just rotating into Epicenter instead. That uphill struggle, you saw Gaiman falling to that, as well as basically,
Gaiman,
I believe, who was it? Navi fell prey to that as well. It's just so difficult when you get caught up in that Epicenter kind of pileup to really try and survive.
Go Next Esports. And next up, I mean, this is not to be confused with Passion UA and Passion as well. I know if you're just jumping in and watching EMEA Apex Legends, you might be thinking, are these the same teams? No, they're not. Passion and Passion UA are different. Go Next and next up, they're different as well. And next up, big difference, they take the W over Go Next, and it means 10 kills and a 22-point game. Massive stuff from them, with Gaming Gladiators rounding out the third position with 18 points, essentially a second place overall. But as we look back, decent performances from all of our top 10. As we take a look at the bottom 10, Jamerson, what stands out to you in terms of performances?
Yeah, overall, again, this is another one of those days where I'm expecting so much from Nessie, right? I mean, you were talking about it. Graceful has been such an experienced player. It looks like their roster really filled out extremely well throughout this, throughout the break and the split, and coming into split 2, we're expecting a lot more out of them. But right now, again, it's just maybe slow growing pains initially. Like we said, this first weekend was going to be rough for every team involved. It's the least amount of preparation you have going into a weekend. 2 days after draft, you basically play into this one, so it could just be that that kind of point of contention for them. So I'm hoping when it comes to maybe the second half of the day, when we go over to to Storm Point, we see a little bit more out of them.
Well, two teams, the battle of the next is, say that 3 times fast, is here, and I love it. I'm all here for it. New roster swaps for a lot of these teams in Split 2. EMEA, it's a chance at not just redemption, but a fresh start. I think you said it at the top of the show, Jamerson. It's a new season, it's a new split, these new rosters. Well, it's shown to pay dividends for them so far here, as obviously Next Up and Go Next having 2 great performances.
Yeah, and what's more satisfying than that? Taking first place with 12 kills and also taking second place with 9 kills as well. So my ADHD, my OCD, everything is satisfied at the end of the day there. I love seeing that kind of symmetry.
Yeah, it is beautiful. And again, it just showcases how many things have changed, but how many things are still similar. We've seen what it takes to win in Apex Legends, and this is not a sprint, it is a marathon. So while 2 games have gone by, we need to keep seeing these teams perform if they're going to stay at the top of the leaderboard. Game 3 will round out our final game on World's Edge before we swap maps, so don't go anywhere.
is Rain Day on the screen.
Well,
with us
you
for
know,
this one.
listen,
Yeah.
I just wanted to come back again because I feel like a lot of times we have this battle between me and Vicky in the green room where she thinks that she can beat me in various games, platformers, Apex even, and I say, no, you can't. So because, you know, I'm the host, I have control, I wanted to maybe take her spot
Oh, she's here. She's here.
Vicky, I mean,
Hey, Vicky.
you weren't supposed to be here. Who brought her back on?
First off, that was the most candid, like, flyby, all right? Because that was just me gently reacting to all the things coming out of Rain Day's mouth. That doesn't happen. We definitely 1v1 in the firing
All
range.
right,
Bye-bye, Rain. I gotta say bye to you. That was a nice little cameo that Rain Day had to do before we opened up the block. Welcome back, everybody. Jamerson, Rain Day, you guys have your own names together, and now he's trying to take you over for the entire broadcast. It's time for us to go through game number 3 because we still got some World's Edge action.
Yeah, one final game here on World's Edge, and again, going back to the draft system, we're gonna drive this point home. It's been crazy to see because for that win, that was a 31st pick for next up, taking the tree side. I mean, tree's great, right? You have access, of course, to scans, multiple scans on rotation paths. You can go up towards thermal station if you end up losing out on that 50-50. There's 2 in that pathway if you go up towards thermal. So I like how you can play off of that overall, but it seems like it's going to show it's really coming down to the macro. It's coming down to the teams that really are able to navigate this mid game because they did a really great job being able to put themselves into that northern side of the map and really control from top down.
The fact that they did that from Tree is just absolutely crazy as they're leading the pack after those games alone here. To get a nice little flyby before we see where our teams are going to be going. But, I was noticing something with these Evil Harvesters. Now, obviously, we don't have these 50-50s off the POI changes, but what we do have are teams lying in wait to cut off a lot of the pathing and rotations that these squads are taking when it comes to where these Evil Harvesters have been spawning. And it does look like we may be going over by the northeast side once again, Jamerson.
Yeah, by the way, it's Jamer Kitty. That's what Rain Day came up with.
Jamer Kitty, okay.
And I love it, except that it sounds like I'm a cat boy, which maybe I do love. Maybe I do love. Maybe I do. Oh, we do have an engagement. Oh, Aurora. We're able to catch out Genji here. And, even though we don't have quote unquote contests, things like this can still happen.
Absolutely, and it's just because of the way that Aurora is going to be landing over by the Skyhook west side, or rather east side, where they could be able to actually take advantage of some of these quick rotates and maybe try to contest the Warlord since they know that they're going to be trying to split up a little bit and try to take advantage of Trials.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that Aurora were able to spot out before when it came to this drop, because in game number 2, they were more concentrated towards that tunnel side of Skyhook East. You really do want to try and maximize that loot, take the tunnel, all that loot in there, and really just stay on the very far east side of this one. They noticed that one player, that was Genji from Skyhook, got a little feisty there, decided to, infringe upon their drop zone, and they were able to properly punish it. So that's huge for them. Apex Warlords now aren't going to be able to get full value off of Trials, and so all that gold loot is going to be free basically for Aurora to slow play out of this. And I feel like for Aurora, they're one of the teams that when they play slow out of Edge, it is one of the scariest teams to run into. Aurora's already an amazing fighting team, but now when you get purples, when you get reds onto them into the mid game that early on, it is absolutely terrifying.
And potential multiple gold knockdown shields on top of that, since we know Hardecki's going to be able to get it off the Lifeline care pack anyways. It's just going to be huge for them, and so smart for them to take advantage of that and isolating one of the members of Apex Warlords in the last game of World Edge before we transition onto Storm Point. As we take a look at other squads like Atlas, looking at a team that just flew overhead for right now, taking that evac tower, Passion UA on that quick rotate, already getting ahead of the curve to get into Epi.
Yeah, luckily, for Apex Warlords, they do have the Lifeline, so they'll have an opportunity if they can reach Crafter to get their third Genji back on into it. So it's not over for them. It's just going to be difficult, to say the least. Now, a lot of teams starting to make huge rotates on over. It seems like a lot of indicators that this one might be going over here to the Overlook side, and teams really want to play the God positions off of this. On the northern side of Overlook, you have these huge rock formations that you can play off of. This position here, though, early on, I'm not a huge fan of for Passion, in particular because you come in, you hole up inside one of the caravans. That is your econ for the rest of the game. So those 3 bats have to stretch a very long way for you, and you also don't have too many angles to try and shoot out of that caravan to possibly steal some kills away or even charge up the evos. Genji there, though, we just got to see on the cam getting brought back into this game.
Oof, Nessie now. Still on their rotate here too. Nobody to contest them at staging, but there is a ring console that they can take advantage of since they do have that catalyst. And while nobody is gonna meet them on the other side of the edge of the circle, love how you pointed out the positioning of the squad inside of that truck, because I hate being in that position. Even with the Caustic, you're so many open angles for so many other teams to take some shots here. I mean, look at the chaos already. And more squads making their rotate in here too. You can find yourself getting pinched as Trojan lose out on their Watson. Beast of the Hunt activated just for them to try to reposition if they could see through the smoke. Evac tower called in as they yeet the nades in their direction.
Yeah, that tower can easily allow a team to take the high ground on that rock, but with the Beast of the Hunt, Remix Powers does enough damage onto Cybercats to force them back. We'll be able to pick up the banner and back away. It's still zone number 1. There's plenty of time for them to try and rotate, maybe back over to Geyser, over towards No Name, and try to get that respawn in. Unfortunately for Trojans, though, they do have a team rotating in from that south side, coming through that vault tunnel, essentially. So it might not be the freest for them, but they are still going to try and attempt this one.
No, Infinite is definitely having a field day with these circle pulls for these last 2 games too. Landing in Climatizer East with a nice easy rotate as well as a ring console for them to work with. See what they want to do here is they're going to be able to loot up. Nice turbo on the Havoc too. He does miss out on the extended energy mag, but it sounds like another res is happening somewhere here. As next up, we're looking to see if they can rotate here, Damerson.
Multiple respawns actually coming in. Trojan were able to get their 3rd back in, but also Aurora. Eternal went on an off-tempo timing and dropped as a 3-man onto Hardeki while they were looting up Skyhook because of the early frag that they got onto Warlords. They felt a little bit safer. They were playing very loose over there on the Skyhook west side, along with Trials, getting all that loot. So Eternal did the right thing of really being able to take advantage of that, but Aurora bounced back themselves again. They are running the support legend, but the fact that they were able to go in, snag up that banner, and get the respawn on the north side was huge for them. Aurora now will be rotating in from the north side. I think you were talking about Infinite earlier on, not really being able to utilize the ring pulling up towards them twice now, essentially, but this one is a little bit different as it will be going over, should be at the very least, more towards that eastern side, towards Overlook. So they still have to worry about the strong teams really coming in and wrapping from the north side, which I think we're going to see again, and that is Aurora now coming in behind them. Na'Vi, though, on their rotate now, making their way towards Landslide, got into a small engagement up against this team, but they will just go ahead and disengage off of that.
Good news here for Apex Warlords too. While Na'Vi disengaged, next up are engaging in a fight of their own here. This is all the chaos that we know is happening over here by Fragment, but it's about Gaming Gladiators now, looking to see if they can go in for the 3rd party here. Next up, can't restabilize. Arctic now goes down. Cinetic, though, tries to fight with the Havoc. Unfortunately, it's only up to Nax, who has a Beast of the Hunt activated, but lackluster energy ammo to really work with.
And he just got tagged on that scan. Can counter scan himself, but it does seem like GG will go ahead and back away off this one. They got their 2 KP. They don't really need to chase it here. You don't know if a team or how many teams are in position for that 3rd party because they haven't been able to pick up scan in quite some time, whether it's the survey beacon or the ring scan. So really great call for them. They don't really want to overextend on this one. Again, you just don't want to dig too deep into some of these fights, especially when you can just go for these full resets. So really safe play coming out from them, and I really do appreciate that one. Now, they do have another opportunity to go for another 3v3. It's just they don't have the tools quite yet. It doesn't seem like off the bodies they were able to get any ultimate excels there. So Blast is going to take some time, of course, to come up with a Beast of the Hunt, unless you find an angle like that for Lufka.
Oh, with the car, too. He doesn't get the hip-fire shots off the G7, but he is chasing him down, zooming through, but there's only so much places to run here behind that fence line. They take care of next up. Huge moves here for Gaming Gladiators without a 3rd party trying to get into position, because we saw, what was it, Trojan, Vex, all in the distance here for Fragment East, while Aurora also engaging off the high ground. Hardeki, nice position here for him to work with, but they lose out on Oi Rain. Night Impulse literally won. He's forced to drop down, gets tagged up by the Mullow, but is able to get the res in the meantime.
Yeah, he taps a Hardeki though. Does he have the bot? He can go for the reset here, backing away. 9 Impulse though, still bleeding out on the ground right now, pretty much in the middle of nowhere. But you can see how quickly you can play and reset with that tempo, with that Doctrone now. Moire will not take full effect of it here, as they know that time is ticking away from them. They need to get into zone as round 2 now begins closing. So unfortunately, they'll have to leave 9 Impulse to the wayside there and back away. Luckily for them though, they at least go ahead and get some trades. They've got Hardeki, of course, who can craft the banners here. It's just, will they find that opportunity? Does look like there's a crafter over by the epicenter side, so they can pad for that, and they just have to hope that no one is in the way.
I mean, with the rotating teams rather from Fragment now going over to Epi, thinking about Vex, Atlas, it's going to be definitely difficult here if they are able to pull that off. And Navi's looking for them there too, trying to see if they can cut them off in the middle of their rotate here, because they know Aurora is running. But while they do get ahead of themselves, there's another squad right alongside Navi. I believe it's Eternal.
Yeah, Eternal was again in that fight up against Aurora. Now Aurora making the right call to disengage off of that fight, despite, you know, it being a 2v2. They have the pressure of the zone to the back of Eternal. Here they played the safer numbers, right? They play the less risky proposition for themselves and try to back away and get pulled back up as a 3-man. They've already done it once this game. They'll do it a second time if they get the opportunity.
See, with the way that Rain is still trying to rotate around the edge of the circle, and more of these squads are going to be forced to fight here. Looking at Apex Warlords, who take their time to rotate as per usual, and Gaming Gladiators through Fragment. Let's jump into a listen with Nessie here, as they are in no name, and players have the high ground advantage over them looking at them.
Fighting in our back, fighting in our back.
Okay, joining this end, yeah, I'm coming. I don't have ult now, you know.
In front of me, bang, 3 shots. 1, dead.
Nice.
Go left, go left, go
one
her
more
left.
was there. Yeah. I'm scanning for us.
I'm going her left.
Oh my god, I need to heal again.
I started your kill. The duo just regressed here.
One's on me, bro. I said go her left, bro. I need help.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't help now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm batting.
They're fighting.
He's in zone.
Wait, is that one down or no?
I don't know. This is
a
Navi.
lifeline.
Yeah, this is Navi.
Wait.
They died. I'm looting. We
No,
need to
that's
go back.
Apex Warlords. Going back? Okay.
Yeah, we need to take this side.
Taking height.
I'm
We're
2-2.
gonna have to walk in tunnel, by the way.
Yeah,
They're backing on the right.
They scanned us. Look at them.
I scanned them as well.
I'm heading.
I'm 2-2. Does anyone have anything for me?
I can drop you. Which folks to go tunnel? Now.
Okay, tunnel.
Love hearing out on the comms here too, where they didn't want to fully engage, noting that there's still another team right behind them, so they didn't want to get third party and get put into a bad spot, especially seeing where that next circle was going to be pulling. As we take a look at other squads now, players coming in from the sky is going to be able to reset here.
Yeah, they got the smoke coverage as well, and right now a lot of headshot angles really utilized, along with extra loot they get off of that. We do have the ring. It is pulling up north of Overlook. It is going towards that side. The rock formation that we saw, Forbidden, Passion, everyone really try to get priority onto that fort. GG though, in another fight, it looks like they get one knock onto Nyx, looking for a little bit more. That's going to be Atenum going it down as well. And that puts Lufka now as the kill leader in the lobby here. And we'll go ahead and throw down that balloon, but I don't know if they're going to be able to safely take this one. It doesn't have the most coverage. They will take to the skies.
Whew, and they're dancing on that zipline here too as they take the evac tower safely. The squads on the high ground cannot take those shots, as Atlas also trying to focus on the teams rotating through Epi. Eternal 9 Bongo goes down to the circle. Literally was one shot. He was trying to get the finisher as Aurora with only Hardeki left. This is the gatekeep that Atlas was looking for.
Oh man, that's been a rough series of events for Aurora. Of course, losing out on one, they were able to get the res, I believe, on to that player. But ultimately, they just got shadowed, and Eternal were trailing behind them the entire time. And they try to cut him off for that res. I don't know how they were able to survive 2v3, because they had one player split up at the north side survey camp. I believe Navi ended up keeping that one, taking a better look at that map. This zone continuing to pull up to the north side. Forbidden in a beautiful position here. These rock formations just provide you so much cover and so many different angles to try and get some kills as teams rotate in from zone. Unfortunately for Forbidden, so much of the fighting has been taking place out on the hard edge of these zones of the rings coming in. It's been teams like Guyan along with Na'Vi who have been able to take advantage of that. So while Forbidden were able to put themselves in the God spot early on, they are not benefiting from it quite yet.
Yeah, is it a little too early? You have to wonder with the amount of teams that are also going to be able to take advantage of that northern rotate once squads like Passion and Danish come in from the south side of that circle that leads out of Overlook. I also love how Navi's been able to mirror the action that we saw over by Epi with them being right behind Eternal, but Passion are also creeping up right behind them as they're trying to engage on a fight versus Infinity, who have not moved from their POI.
You know, the timing here for Na'Vi is a really good time, right? About 15 seconds before the zone closes. First knock onto aimbot. Na'Vi charges forward, and they will be able to clean this one up. They end up losing out on one throughout all of that, but the fight took place on this other side of the wall, so that allows them some free coverage to try and get that res, but they are not out of trouble quite yet. We're getting multiple teams converging on this. Passion UA, Go Next Esports now actually gatekeeping from the south side, making it so much more difficult. Matafe and Tyler going down. Na'Vi left with one still alive. Go Next Esports will not allow them get out of this one for free as they charge forward. Kind of still alive. Never mind. He got spotted and will ultimately fall. That's Kashera picking that one up.
This is Go Next, who land by Epi now, already taking advantage of these rock formations around Forbidden. This is the fight that we were expecting to see, but look at this chaos happening over on the south side. Running for their lives is Full English, trying to put down the gen. Atlas get eliminated, and they're going to get pinched eventually. They have to move forward here, but they get beamed. Not only that, now Vex come in, Blacklist International get eliminated, and Full English is still alive for now.
Yeah, it's just Phoenix, the one up, the scan out, 6 hostiles detected. And now they smell blood in the water, diving in to finish them off. Over here for Go Next Esports, they're getting full push now. They do trade for one. Article falls throughout all of that. Sonya now extremely low. It's gonna be Passion UA to finish things off. That is huge for them. God spot now as the remaining teams here on the south side. You can see Danish, you can see Passion, you can see Vex there on the low ground.
This is what we're talking about here before too. If they're getting eliminated as Passion now ripping it through the Devo. Still with blue evil shields here. Well, Clemmy gets rezzed right in between all the rocks here too. So getting some extra cover if they can work with it. 4 squads left. And now with the L-Star in hand and 0-0 just being able to take out everything he's got. Henchman is going to be able to get the knock right afterwards. And now he's going to be able to try to get the reset if he can.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Passion were even able to get up to purples themselves off the position they found themselves inside of Overlook early on. But you can see now things going downhill for them. We are now down to almost our final 3 squads. Never mind, Denze have to back away, get the armor swap. There's nothing there for him, unfortunately. But they do survive. Final 3 squad zone closing in. Clemmy getting blocked in. Oh, no. He might actually just go down to ring. Vex are in position to take advantage of this one now. 3 squads, 7 players remaining. It's going to be a 3v3v1. It's Vex and Passion up as a full 3-man. Getting behind this rock for the full reset. And Passion UA slow playing this one a little bit too much, allowing Vex to go for the full reset here.
Oh, but with a crumb of health now, they were able to get that reset, but the one difference is Passion UA has something these other squads don't here, Jamerson, and it is that crypto. It is the information that they need, noting that there is a solo on the other side. Danish get eliminated, and now it's that full 3v3. Squad wipe here. You can see as the EMP rings out, giving them the advantage. Passion UA, they'll lose out on Sonya.
And that's the unfortunate thing sometimes when you're playing that crypto, you're not in the fight when you're piloting the drone. And that's Vex now, bringing it to a 2v1, looking to finish things off. It doesn't seem like Max Strafey has an angle to possibly sneak a res in. There is a world for Vex to even play this one a little bit slower and get that res. Never mind. Max Strafey will go ahead and finish them off. It is a 2v1, but it's Max Strafey. He's got a Havoc. No turbocharge there for him, but he's got the first shots off. Smoked off now as he's going to try and place defensively around this Watson. Might be able to get an armor swap on the ground for himself and get that extra little bit of fighting power here. You can see Max Strafey trying to utilize all the tools in his belt.
Clemmy with the Devo versus the EMP. Who wins here? Because apparently the Devo ripped through everything. But is Max Strafey him as the Devo rings out? He is not, and Vex are your game 3 winners.
And things could have been so much better for them. But, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, Passion UA did an amazing job of really sneaking their way onto that high ground, the rock formation that we were talking about for Overlook, and they were rewarded for that. They picked up kill points along the way, but it was Vex that somehow survived then that southern side rotate up through Overlook, and they rewarded themselves with plenty of KP.
Yeah, I believe it was like 10 KP by the end of that game alone, so that was a really big game for Vex as they needed it. And Passion UA too, being able to turn around and still get that second place win while coming out on top from the teams that were basically scrapping on that north side of that circle is also a great position for them.
Yeah, and again, it's going back to how much of this is a draft, and I think right now it's just teams really going back to playing standard Apex, really being able to just play off of their macro. You kind of just brush off if you get a bad draft or if you end up getting a bad POI, that you can still win out when it comes to macro and really being able to read the lobby. I think that's one of the most important skills here that we're seeing out of our out of the best IGLs, is just really being able to read the lobby. You heard there from Nessie when we were in with the listen in with Graceful. He's still able to identify, hey, what teams are here. One of his teammates thought, oh, that's Navi, and he's like, no, that's not Navi. What are you talking about? He just has that instinct, right? He just knows. So it's great to see that that kind of knowledge is still important when it comes to Apex here in split number 2.
I love Graceful. That's not Navi. There's no lifeline there on that squad here as we take a look at the Match 3 results. Yes, it is a big kahuna game here for Vex, dropping the 10 KP with Passion UA following right behind it with 6 KP. Once again, really big game here for Passion UA, as this is one of the squads that had a little bit of a rough start now. I believe that puts them all the way up to 6th place in the overall standings in this lobby.
Yeah, I mean, it could have swung the other way for them as well if they had gotten the victory, if they had gotten the extra 3 KP at the end there, you know. They could have finished out the game with 21 points overall, but you still take that. 9 with 6 kills is definitely great. Danish, I believe another team that was really caught up in that struggle on that southern rotate up through Overlook, but finishing off 3rd place with 7 points there along with the 3 kill points. You definitely don't bat an eye when it comes to 10 points in a game. You're typically looking for something like Passion and Go Next, who end up with 8, averaging that, but a 10-point game is definitely strong, especially going into the second half.
Even looking all the way down to Blacklist, right, with the 7 KP that they were able to secure out here, they are absolutely getting that KP, but it's about these placements that we know that they could achieve out here. While taking a look at the second page, looking at where all the other squads have been able to find themselves, talking about Aurora that were caught in the chaos. So was Gaming Gladiators. We saw that action happening over by by Fragment East side with that 7 KP before they were eliminated after they had landed from that evac.
Yeah, it's just so interesting because we have almost similar circumstances, right? In game number 2, the zone started pulling up all the way north towards Survey Epicenter. And this one, not too far away at the Overlook portion. Gaming Gladiators, there was a difference in how they ended up playing this one, right? They definitely slow played a lot more in game number 2. They were able to utilize basically rotating through the zone, got a lot more equipment coming into this, coming in from the south side. But the huge pileup, once we got to Overlook, once that zone ended just kind of right there, it's smack dab in the middle of Overlook, they didn't have the same kind of space that they were able to play off of as they were when they were playing off of Epicenter, when they came in for that slow rotate. But still, they did a great job of playing off that position. 7 kill points is fantastic for them.
And a new meta in some ways, not really in terms of how Apex is played from a big perspective, but when it comes to what weapons are in the care package, I mean, we got a Devo now that was not singing the same way in season 20. That thing hurts. And so while Max Strafey is a hero in many people's eyes, was never going to win that battle. That villain was just way too strong. I certainly hope that we can see some better tides of luck for the teams as they jump into their 3 games coming up on Stormpoint. But before that, we have a little halftime recap and a special guest hailing all the way from Nasky. Where are you from? I don't know. Where are you from?
I'm from Denmark. Randy, you're supposed to know this stuff.
That's what I thought. I did. I said it before you said it. I remember. I just, I wanted to double check. What's up, man? How you doing?
Everything good. Everything good. How about you guys?
I'm doing great. I know Vicky and Jamerson, they're excited to talk with you as well. We got some questions lined up. We got some circles. You know how we do in the halftime. Use your expertise as a player who has an off day today to give us your thoughts on what's going on in the first set of matches. And I'll lead with something that takes us a little back before we focus on today, Nasky, because not everyone sees you in between splits. They see you at LA and at LAN, and then they see you now at the start tomorrow where you'll be playing in A versus C. Walk us through behind the scenes. What has gone on for 07 in this offseason? What are the major changes you've made? Give us a glimpse as people who watch the ALGS but may not see those details behind the scenes as to what an offseason really means for a lot of these pro teams and players just like yourself.
Well, we took the offseason to make some roster changes. We replaced Nags out for Zane. And that might have been a mistake. I mean, Nags just popped off in game 2. I was watching that, and next up, their org, they're looking real good at the moment. So we'll find out. But during this offseason, we obviously picked up Zane, and which is a massive change. I used to be teammates with Zane, and back then he was like the GOAT. Everyone thought he was cheating. That's how good he was. He did the same stuff at LAN, proves that he wasn't cheating. So massive change in 07. We still got the same coach, Don, of course, the GOAT from Australia, and Amphi, the Kurdish prince. But Zane, the new addition, is going to be crazy. We're going to put on a show this pro league and this LAN also, because I can already tell you we're qualifying. That's a no-brainer.
Love it. Love it. Now, with this new split, we do have, of course, the draft system. So preparation has become, I think, a key point when it comes to this. And you were one of the first IGLs when I was watching very early on in Apex who put a high priority on looting path and stuff like that. Now, how do you prepare for that when you do have the draft system being implemented now?
Well, how do you prepare for it? I mean, I feel like I've been around for so long now that I've in some way or another, I have landed at pretty much every POI. If it's been like the Realm solo queue, if it's been ranked, or if it's whatever it might have been. So I already kind of know all the loot paths in my head. At least if I see the POI real quick, I can at least just think of something fast. So the preparation it's not in terms of loot route and stuff like that. It's pretty surface level. And then based on me VOD reviewing other teams throughout, I've been competing now for 5 years. So I already know the timings for most of the POIs. So by nature, I know like which team is where during what moments. So if you were to put me in one of those POIs, I would be able to like know where I should be by whatever time. But then the more intricate stuff comes when we're, for instance, landing Lightning Rod tomorrow. And for barometer zones, so we were doing some preparation for it. And I was thinking, well, we'd probably just rotate like how TSM used to do, or how Alliance started to do, which was through Jurassic, straight down beeline towards barometer. And then we looked at it, and Don, our coach, was saying, if you go around this side, this and that, the timings, stuff like that, right? And then that's where the intricate stuff in terms of preparation comes into play. But other than that, everything is pretty surface level, and it's pretty simple to adapt to this. At least I think so. And I think this POI draft is going to really show which IGLs are good, and I love that. I love that.
I love how you bring up your own competitors' experience into where teams are in terms of timing, especially with like the dropship changes, since everyone's already landing off the rip. So that's going to make things a lot faster when it comes to rotates and stuff, which also goes hand in hand to the next thing I want to talk to you about, Nasky. I want you to help me guide us through these final circles for these last 3 games, because we got to see how that really mixed things up for the squads that either didn't have that POI advantage and actually had a way better rotate.
So just to get this straight, you want me to go through this, right?
Yeah. We're going to be going through all the final circles here. And this is one of those moments where players had the high ground, and not only did they have the positioning advantage, but it looked like the squad on the low ground essentially like gave up at the very end. It was unfortunate, but like, where are you going to go when they have height in the situation?
Well, in reality, that duo should always die, right? But actually, Full English made a massive mistake in this game, and they lost their only opportunity of winning. They actually twice in the previous zone as well, they made a mistake. But what they should have done was Del was looking at the south side, and he saw this duo rotate into a spot, like a pressure spot. and they needed to just kill that duo way before that anything like that happened. But there was no callouts or no aggression, and they kind of just let it crumble. So that was a misplay, but players were gonna win that from the top every time. Next up here, they were playing in the house building the entire time. Kashiro was playing there very early on. They left to go climatizer, which was a massive mistake. At least it came to show. Next up, they just played the house. They had a free rotate. They jumped down. GG was a solo. They managed to rest. Ended up being a duo. And then the last solo just died as a zone. So very, very, very textbook end zone. But it was all about the mid game and the early game that led them into this situation. So really well played from Synetic to IGL next up.
Yeah, and then game number 3, we just saw Vex win a pretty big game with 10 KP, where Passion UA had started the fight with the Crypto EMP, but man, that Devo had just ripped through Max Strafey's team here. He was trying to work magic. I know your boy Max Strafey, but he can't work with miracles sometimes.
Max definitely is a miracle guy, but a 1v2 versus the Devotion in this end zone is definitely hard. Can't blame him. He puts down the armor swap. He does everything he needs to do, right? He does the right preparation. He's in a tough situation, but he does what he needs to do. And then in the end, it's just not enough. But he did put down the armor swap. He did prepare the terrain, like put down the fences and stuff. But it just wasn't enough. But nice try nonetheless.
Yeah, you got to do your best and forget the rest. That's what they say, or at least that's what I remember Tony Horton saying when I did P90X back when I was about 20 years old, getting ready for soccer training. But Nasky, as that's neither here nor there, I do think that some of these stats, you know, they do say that there's a few teams out ahead in the running. Next up, Passion, Vex, 3 teams that are great, that have been winning games, leading the charge, and yet, you know, haven't been maybe the marquee teams in the past in Split 1. Does it feel like a new EMEA to you as you take a look at these standings as we get ready for the back 3?
There's so much I want to say regarding that question. I'm gonna try to keep it short, but it is definitely a new EMEA we have. Because you have 2 ways of looking at it. In general, like, have the teams improved, and second of all, what about the POI draft stuff, right? And first of all,
let's talk about
EMEA
that.
has improved tenfolds. Their EMEA is way better now than last year, way better. And on the global stage, we'll see. I don't know yet. But there is definitely it's definitely a different EMEA we have to deal with at the moment. POI draft-wise, EMEA has some of the most experienced IGLs. So because of that, the POI draft kind of goes hand in hand with experience, like I touched on earlier. If you have experience, you kind of know the timings and stuff like that. So because EMEA has so many experienced IGLs, we're probably going to see a lot of those IGLs excel in this format. Stuff like Passion, I saw that I think they were listed number 2 today so far.
Yeah.
Someone like Kashira, you know, all of these experienced IGL that usually doesn't land at the best POIs, but have to deal with like the cards that are dealt. This is just beautiful for them, and something at global stage, we'll see this impact like massively. So EMEA is looking strong at the moment, way stronger.
Yeah, some of the things like these POI picks, even, you know, just for teams like Passion UA, teams that when they show up, Aurora not necessarily one of them because they seem to perform pretty well on a land stage as well, but teams that show up and need that little bit of something, maybe a matchup goes wrong, they're contesting, that's not going to be the same situation anymore. And speaking of contests, as we take a look at Storm Point, and now with POI draft coming into it, your just thoughts on these picks heading into our final 3 games, Nasky, and also I mean, are you still over contesting so much at LAN? I mean, are you personally happy that that's just done? Because I'm tired of seeing it.
You know, it's not really done. Do you know that? Randy, let me tell you about something that we have cooking in our cookbook, okay?
Oh my God.
At a little place called Siphon, there is Siphon East and there is Siphon West. And if someone takes East or West, we take the other one. And then we have to fight. And at the moment, there is not a single EU team that takes Siphon, even if it is free, because we will show up. So in Europe, it's working so far. At LAN, I mean, hell, might have to go through another situation like EA.
You know, I just feel like there's something that you know, unwilling to let go there, and you know what? That's okay, because it's entertaining as heck, and we love rooting for you, whether it's going your way or not. And good luck to you tomorrow, Nasky. It's just always fun catching up with you and hearing your thoughts on Apex Legends and Split 2. Hope you guys at 07 have a great season.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Bye-bye, guys.
All right, Nasky, everybody from 07. He's excited for this split. He's excited to contest again. Our commissioner's in the back, like pulling his hair out, like, how is he finding a way to still what the? Okay, but all jokes aside, I really think it was a great awareness of what the POI draft means, all the intricacies. Amazing stuff. I do want to make sure you guys know also, if you want some of the intricacies on your screen while you're watching either Vicky or Jamerson or I on the main cast as well, maybe a side monitor, check out Faceit. Faceit.com/watch allows you to pick your favorite POVs, listen to their audio, see how they're rotating, how they like to play in the ALGS, and how specifically their rotations, like Nasky was mentioning, from those specific POI drafts impact their games, whether it's early game in the loot or getting to their late game spots, as we've seen, at least in World's Edge, end up quite north quite often. Obviously, heading into this one, though, it's definitely going to be time to continue casting alongside. I think I'm casting with Vicky right now, and I think Jamerson, it should be your time for a break. But I'm just going to double check on that one. So, okay, I think Jamerson, we're saying goodbye. Vicky, it's you and me here, Is there anything you want to clear up after the trash talk that happened about the back and forth in the green room? Are we good? Are we ready to move forward?
Listen, we can move forward. Just don't get taunt-to-bodied like we saw Nasky did at LAN, okay? You can't taunt first. You got to make sure that the match is done. But honestly, cycling back to Nasky's comments, I love that guy. He's a great personality within the competitive Apex scene. Great addition, of course, to a really competitive scene in general for esports. But now that we're starting off on Stormpoint, I love how he touched up one thing here. We're starting here back on Stormpoint for our final 3 games, and Nasky said something that stuck with me, and that is, even though these direct 50-50s aren't going to happen, they still could happen like we saw in that last game on World's Edge versus Aurora and the Apex Warlords. So that is something to keep in mind when it comes to more of these faster rotations, when it comes to trying to isolate maybe individual players that may be going for either Evil Harvester or have a different game plan, maybe even trying to prioritize getting that Trident that's over to the side of Lightning Rod.
One of the things that's so important too, Vicky, is confidence and the ability to take the experience you have and translate it into actionable steps. Nasky feels very confident in doing that, whether he's in the spot that he wants to get on the day or whether he's got a low draft pick and he uses his high pick on World's Edge and is stuck with something that he doesn't want to play. He feels so aware, so knowledgeable of where the other players will be or where other players have been in that situation that he feels like he is up for the task. And now you start adding the coach, now you start adding the layers with the prep of, well, what do we do given that we don't have our ideal spot? I really think this does open up things, not just for Apex, but you're right, for EMEA to maybe show their stuff more than they were able to do, since they weren't necessarily getting, outside of Alliance and Aurora, priority in some of these landing spots at LAN. Right now, though, we have a whole new ALGS, a whole new game, and a whole new map in game number 3 as we kick it off here on Stormpoint.
Can we talk about how fresh just the dropships exiting out at the same time looks too? It's just a change that I love it right now. It's just something fresh as we take a look at next up, who are going to be able to loot up what they need here too. But I love how you also talk about what Nasky mentioned earlier, just knowing where you are, and because of the experience he's had of dropping at so many different POIs, you also know the timing on some of the teams and their rotates depending on where that circle is going to be pulling to.
Yeah, and I think some teams thrive in different scenarios as well. And you even look at it, and we'll touch on, as North America is just about 3 games and an hour-and-a-half break away from now, if you're interested in watching that, how different lineups, different rosters, they're going to thrive off of, badgering each other, getting a little bit more, and having some antagonism back and forth, pumping each other up through that. Some, they're going to need to be a little bit more like, hey, nice job, nice try, let's do it like this. All those different adjustments, sometimes when you look at teams, like I think in EMEA, having some of those things to fight against, sometimes it isn't easy if you pile it on. And for me, this POI draft system in some ways has evened the playing field out for a lot of teams that, they could really have a great showing, but they cannot get hit with too much of a handicap too early on. Otherwise, we won't even know what they're capable of. And I feel like that, especially in EMEA, a region that has not won and not lifted up that LAN trophy, well, like Nasky said, good things could be ahead. But as we transition into this game, Vicky, you know, what needs to happen? We've seen players, we've seen Next Up, we've seen Vex take wins. You know, is this the expected day one you had in mind for a team that we all know coming into EMEA? Aurora?
That was a team that I was still expecting to be as consistent as ever, and they are currently sitting in, I believe, 14th overall. So definitely the shakeup with these different POIs have allowed teams to either take advantage of being very kill heavy, like we've actually seen from Blacklist, actually. So maybe we could see them take finally the dub because they haven't gotten that placement that we know that they can get. But with a circle like this on Storm Point, they definitely can't here, considering the fact that they land in Launchpad. As next up, looking to maybe see they could try to take care of the wildlife here. I also hear a Trident in the distance, but it's all about getting the ring console with the Cossack that they have Arctic on.
And next up, we had mentioned that they have been taking a win and they have done extremely well. 31st overall, they picked Tree. And so on your 31st pick, and basically 40 being the bottom end, that's a pretty good showing on World's Edge. And now they get to go into much happier spot for them, which is Pylon. And excuse me, that's next up. Go Next are going to be able to go to Cascade Falls, the basically highest pick in Storm Point. So that's a huge advantage for them going into now after having a good game, good couple of games on World's Edge, and their priority pick here transitioning into Storm Point with Kashira at the lead.
Kashira's also really good at calling out where these circles are going to be moving, so they're going to be hanging out by those rocks earlier on, while M4 with the beam on the alternator doesn't look to his back. He gets traded off full, so it's a 1-for-1 as Eternal now getting into a better position. Flyby nade, though. Going to be able to give Bongo a haircut before he now tries to see what's going on here, because while they are trying to reposition, Infinite is coming up from right behind Atlas here.
Eternal looking to push forward. Bongo just realizing that this is a chance, and you got to take advantage of it. Bambino hovering with the Fuse Knuckle Cluster. This should be enough, and that's one of the benefits of the Fuse. Simple pressure, and you don't have to worry about exposing yourself while the pressure ticks away. It's kind of like a little bit of a juicier R-Star there in terms of warding somebody off for a length of period of time, and that will get Maxi back up, and they will work together as a 3 yet again. But in comes another squad, so Eternal gonna lose Bongo almost immediately. He gets taken down to about 75% health, but a quick shield swap to put him back into the fight.
This is what Eternal like to do best here with Bambino, putting out the knuckle clusters, trying to get into a different off angle here while the fighting has not stopped. This is the different rock formations that we were talking about before that we know that Kashira is so quick to rotate here, but an early rotate could be very scary. With how open, yes, there's still a lot of these rocks, but it's still a lot of open angles that some of these other squads could take some shots on with these long range weapons like the 30-30.
I do love the 30-30 as well. Meta-wise, we have seen it fall out quite a bit. Although we do see it with Dell here. It's kind of more of a every now and then pick. We've opted towards ARs. It's really been a meta dominated by ARs. And many reasons for that. There's not too much of a history we haven't discussed in Split 1. It's the same thing. Digital threats, SMGs kind of going out of the window. That close range being opted for longer range pressure, utility, and just more damage now that you're not going to get bursted by the quick TTK of an SMG. Well, it's about how hard and how long, and can you produce pressure, and that's where the Hemlock and Havoc have really shown Vicky. Those two weapons, I mean, they've been dominant, and it's been fun to watch, I will say. I'm not really tired of this one yet, but it does feel like something's around the corner pretty soon, and just even seeing the devotion in there, it's nice to see a few new weapons come in. I think Split 2 will show more of that as we get more updates throughout the midseason.
Honestly, my favorite weapon loadout was the weapon loadout that I learned the game with before the Havoc even had a turbo attached to it. Everyone remembers those PTSD days. But, you know, speaking of that loadout, I mean, look at Oirain right now. He's got the Hemlock, he's got the Havoc ready to go. He gets a scan going there, too, to make sure nobody's taking their time to rotate through Mill, as the rest of Aurora are just waiting on the edge of the circle. It is clear for now. Nobody's going to be coming in from the southwest side at all, so Aurora has a pretty easy rotate once they get through Cedo, too, and they have a good amount of choices depending on where they want to rotate, seeing where that next circle is going to be pulling, as Apex Warlords take onto the high ground, see a straggler out in the distance here, and even through the evac tower, can't take one of those here if they melt it down before they can take it.
Yeah, and they grab it, and that's tough. You got to throw two up now. I've seen that kind of become the meta at LAN, where you have to kind of waste two. That way they can't shoot both, and you at least get one route to get up. But it's starting to say, well, then maybe that's not what we should plan on in these situations. and the macro movements must adjust. Speaking of big macro movements, Vicky, here's an overview of where we stand at the map. We get a chance to see it, but having viewers get a chance to look at that too, we'll come back to some of that big picture stuff once we tag along with Bambino and Bongo and Maxi, who have found themselves again in another big fight. Eternal has been very, very busy here, chasing Infinite away.
And it's the fact that Eternal's been busy with the same squads, by the way. And Atlas have managed to get the respawn over by downed Beast. So they get the respawn. They're going to be approaching from the edge of the circle. I don't expect them to try to engage heavily here and maybe try to rotate and ignore this fight that's happening over to their left side. But let's not forget who's waiting on the outskirts of Mill through that choke. It is Aurora, so things are going to get hot here quick as you can see that circle completely shift over to the east.
Going back to the full English Dell, I like this team a lot. This is a team that, you know, maybe feels like a long time coming, at least watching Phoenix all the way from Paladin's days, winning a world championship there in that esport, being one of the most dominant teams in Na'Vi and taking them. We know he's got the leadership capability. Hasn't been in that conversation of, you know, top fraggers the way we look at players like Effect or even Zane. But combining with Lyfin and Dell, maybe this is just the right amount of experience, you know, of synergy that can push them beyond the edge. Forge Gang, the previous team with Jay Savage, just Vicky was kind of known at getting 12th, 11th place, almost qualifying that final day, determining it all. Certainly, Dell, Lyfin, and Phoenix trying to get it done a lot earlier in Split 2, and they've got a new, fresh start to do so.
Yeah, with that squad also rocking the double mouse and keyboard there too. See how that works out for them as Na'Vi on their rotate. Let's jump into a listen with Na'Vi to see how they navigate through that next circle.
I see no one on UAV building. Walk right side here.
Let's reposition.
Any birds?
No.
Tap. I hear one guy shooting right.
Wait, come into us!
We have to shoot! Everyone shoot! Everyone shoot!
They got
Look for it! 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 Back up! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Let's walk right. The other team doesn't know about us.
Alright.
They're playing like all the way up on the hill. Might be able to beam one together. Come.
Coming.
We cannot get knocked here. We have a team in pylon.
Yep.
Is he close? On the door?
I don't know.
I'm looking. Yeah, he ran down. Okay.
Yep. See him.
We'll find them. Just walk in. I'm walking
Yeah,
up.
trap down in this door.
Team on the fence.
I don't want to glitch, yeah.
Just need to play here. The guy ran back.
Let's check out that.
They're controlling everything there.
We just play from where we are right now, and then we just fuck this team, no?
We might get mirrored. The team doesn't really have a lot of options. We need to play really slow. Are we still in on this side?
We are.
Kind of. So we can just play it slow.
They're behind that
Really,
tree,
really
yeah.
slow. I need to go way back though to hold the back though. Like we can't
Yeah,
just
do that.
stay there. Because if the pylon team comes behind, we're fucked.
They have blues, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking angles from like.
If I see this team all the way there, we can maybe look to a fight. But it has to be like a clean, fast fight.
Careful, shooting
Is
for
there any way you guys could walk close?
They're on blues, by the way. They're on blues.
Yeah,
All of
yeah.
them, I think. Yeah, I know.
I mean, the odds are there's like another team gonna be tunneling shit, you know? Like, we can look to fight, but if it's not clean, we get 3-peat 100%.
They just have like every angle, like they
I know,
have
I know.
this corner angle here, they have a corner angle left.
No, I can walk up with me, bang ult left, and just look to kill right. Just swing right into the tree.
It's only one guy here, my red ping.
Can you guys get to this tree and give me a scan? And then
Yeah,
just,
I'm walking
like,
up. No,
I can beam one, I can beam one.
Okay.
Okay.
Fuck, he saw me. They wasted scan right now. I think this might be the
Did
time.
they see you with a scan? No, right?
Wait, no, they didn't see me.
They're behind them! Yeah, team from like Jurassic.
Okay, then they play really small.
Tunnel.
Watch out this and play really small.
I know.
Remember, we're still in there. We want them to fight.
I don't see anything from the back.
They're on the blue
okay?
containers, they're on blue containers.
The other team saw me. They know we're here. I mean, fuck. We can still balloon. We can still balloon from there and land like there and then pinch the fight.
Yeah.
Because it's two teams.
Wait, a car? Where the fuck's that car?
I'm smoking.
No?
Oh yeah, they're shooting there.
Yeah, they're shooting here.
Yeah.
I'm looking other side of the
They
wall.
are there.
Yeah, on my ping, he's on my ping, he's here. Yeah, it's like 3 teams, so you can't like fight this side.
No, we need to go other side of the wall and balloon.
Yeah.
Wait,
there's a
hold on,
team here.
east. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're not gonna. They can't do anything. Just play here.
Purples.
Are we safe or can they see us here?
Oh, they
No,
can see
we're
us.
safe.
Just
We're
peek.
safe.
I don't think they can peek down.
They
The
need
team
to climb
ballooning
up
behind
and
us.
down.
I'm shooting that behind. Let's see where they go. They might give us a fucking 3P.
Oh, what the fuck? They have PK here.
These guys are landing on the fucking fence. They're gonna fight.
Okay.
We need to make these guys balloon and then 3P that, okay?
I'm scanning them.
Yeah, we need to make them balloon. We cannot start a fight yet.
I'm trying to pick.
I'm smoking forward. Okay, I think we're fine. I think we start moving forward. Come, kinda.
They have blues as well here.
I'm banging this. We need to fight now. Pop the hound, please.
Okay, I'm popping
I
up.
can scan us. They might come.
Yeah, I'm still watching. They bangled us. But they can't come. They can't come.
One! A lot of damage!
I'm dodging. Save for me.
Dodging here.
I get one. They bangled. Come. I'm
Yeah,
stopping
popping
up.
up. 2 seconds. I can scan him once. Scanning now. Scanning.
They're on the right. Close. That's the crack. We can still play slow.
Okay, playing slow.
Attack one more.
Left.
Same guy, probably. Same two guys now. Wait.
Yeah, make it 2 guys. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, go right.
I can't. 1 HP on me.
One on me, kinda. Nice.
Like, last one on me. It's gonna first.
Batting. Fine. Just tell this guy.
Yep.
There's 30 set. You have team behind us. Yeah. Let's go through this. I'm checking your back. You'll find the mob, it's fine. I got beam in the back.
Careful. Step on me.
I'm finishing. We're gonna have to just swing over. There's canvas in the back, they know what to do.
Enemies here.
40 flash on the knock.
Can you start walking up?
Yeah, I'm walking up.
I'm walking with you, just go. He's on the left, right?
Yeah, on the left, behind the tree, on the rocks on me.
Okay. I'm coming. I'm with you.
Bring in. Behind us, on me.
Okay.
I think.
No,
Might be running.
on me. Oh, that's no. That's not for Moby. No Moby
Might
here.
still be around.
Watching other.
You have a Tyler?
I'm looking for Moby.
No Moby on Tyler.
Breaking their neck trying to find the last one alive. Finally to the very end, though. He gets away, which is crazy. So next up is still alive. While Nessie lose out on Boffice, so he can't say the same.
I feel like I just watched a 5-part miniseries and a 5-minute TikTok video. That's how it feels. That was way too much action in way too little time, but it was great to also see how Not as Sincere and Matafe were able to manage that fight. So many different things coming in. While it feels that this is the calm before the storm, for those watching, it's so clear that the storm is always happening in Apex Legends, especially at this highest level. The little decisions making the biggest of impacts to get these teams into not even a top 10 yet. And yes, partially that is Synetic's fault. Next up, still staying alive. What a play by him, just to be annoying, just to keep those placement points rising up, Vicky, for the squad. We'll see if he can continue, though.
Yeah, and even with a replicator there, they don't have a support legend, so it's not like they could get, back up. But they could definitely get the banner, as it looked like they did, and that looked like a Kraber shot off of left field right there, too. Someone just got absolutely destroyed there. We have to see who it was, as Cybercats now looking ahead of them. See the Moby respawn, but this was a team that took the evac tower behind Navi to get ahead of this rotate. Next up is still alive as a solo, and now Cybercats fixated on the fight right in front of them. Luckily, they have the cat here, and they're going to be able to try to focus on the squad rotating right behind them. That's going to be Navi now moving in. They find the solo of next up. They get their revenge, and it was Kinda versus Synetic that get that revenge here, as they are also going to be able to now rotate off of that northwest side.
Cybercat's in a weird spot. Ranch is on a red, Cleve on blue, and Alonzi about 8% away from having a dark veil. So many things that could go right and could go wrong, and it's just about buying time. I think Cybercats get better as these ultimates come up, but Navi may not just give him the time to play. There it is. It looks like on the other side of things, Alonzi does go down, though, just before the possibility to really take advantage of that fight and that ultimate, and it seems like Navi is no better. All for the worse here in terms of these two taking engagements against one another. It might just have ended both of their days.
At least with the caustic gas, so they can build up that space, trying to stay out of the fight for as long as possible before diving in. Bunny hopping, though, but taking some of that circle.
Oh my!
He gets the knock. Can he clutch it? Can he do it? Oh my gosh, 2 knocks for Kinda. Oh, but he cannot get the last one. I mean, he was one shot. That still delays the rotate for Aurora, as the bangle has been called in on top of them. And now Eternal are looking to dive on them.
Victor go the spoils, Vicky. At least they get some shield swaps. It's just not going to be enough. Eternal says, you got the action. You love it. Well, we live in it. We've been in action this entire time. And that is how we do it. 4 kills to the name of Bambino on the fuse. And Eternal continues pushing their way through adversity towards the top of the leaderboard here in game number 4. Trojan trying to get Nyx back alive. Remix Powers with the res. Adenium, back up as the Bangalore scouting out as well. But Eternal, they have their sights set on for more.
Man, kind of walks so Bambino could run with just cleaning up everything that was left for Aurora right now as
Nice
Nine
shots.
Bongo slides in, yes, with that Havoc, with no turbo necessary, although he is lacking in some energy to Luke here, as they're not going to be able to try to engage in this next fight here. 4 squads left. They lose out on Bambino, although that could be huge, but no one's looking at Maxi from right behind.
Got him. Oh
no
my
way.
God.
The bang ult disoriented him, but he's still able to get the last one from Trojan, and Passion have the high ground. They're the ones on Pride Rock before they slide down.
This is going to be a foregone conclusion. Passion just have too many and too good of a spot. That'll leave them in the second place and probably a first as Passion clean it up in game number 4. They'll take the W here on Storm Point as match day 2 in the ALGS continues.
What a game for Passion to wait patiently here too. I believe with what, 6 KP by the very end there?
Yeah. 6 KP. They grab a few at the end. Sometimes, Eternal shows us one route of how you can approach a fight, Vicky, and that's going through anything and everything, finding your way through the adversity and getting those kills, those hard-fought assists, and a ton of KP. They still end up with, I think, a 3rd place, but Passion do it in a way with maybe a lot less effort, a lot more thought process, brain effort, I guess, and just positioning well. And through that, it's an extra 6 points usually guaranteed by going from 2nd place, which is 9 points, to 1st. So that's an extra 3 because of the 12 placement points, plus the 3 people that you have to kill in order to get to 1st. So it's a 6-point swap. Ultimately, it'll be both of those teams having really solid games here, Vicky, in game 4.
Even better that they land by checkpoint, I believe, there too. So they were able to get to that rotate pretty quickly as we take a look at the match results after our first game on Storm Point. And looking at this, wow, Eternal with 12 KP though, even looking all the way down to Aurora that were able to secure 7 KP before they had crumbled right underneath Eternal.
Yeah, and that difference I was just talking about, that is the difference between them, because they have half the kills, but it's those 5 placement points plus the 3 kills they got during that placement that really brings them even with Eternal. So 2 different sides of the coin for how you could see teams approach Apex Legends. Shout out to Gaming Gladiators as well, though, for kind of splitting the difference and just taking a solid 2nd place with 10 points. Aurora, they get aggressive as well, Vicky, and they find their way with 7 kills to get into the conversation. 4th place overall in points. Hasn't been an amazing day from them, but it has not been a bad day from them either, especially with that. They're continuing to get points. But our second page, will it tell a different story? That's the question. I do love Vex continuing after winning a game in game 3 to still, even though they placed 13th, have 8 kills.
Wow, and that's pretty dominating too. I believe that sets them actually right behind Aurora, finishing off in 5th place in the overall standings thus far. But of course, the day is not over. We still have 2 more games on Storm Point, and seeing Vex very kill heavy here really determines the pacing that we could be seeing for the remaining Storm Point matches.
Pretty amazing stuff here. I mean, I love what Nasky said, and I keep going back to it. It is a whole new EMEA. I say EMEA, I can't even go there at that point. It just throws me off. My brain just says EMEA, so I'm going to keep it with that. It's a whole new region. It's a whole new opportunity. And Vicky, we might be seeing the birth of maybe a new champion. I know there's a long way to go, 10 weeks plus another split 2 playoffs. But hey, things are looking bright for EMEA. After this, we'll be right back. 2 more games to go. Vicky Jamerson will be back on the mic to finish it off as we head towards the end of our split 2 day 1.
Welcome back, everyone. Passion with a huge dub here for game number 4. I'm Vicky Kitty. I'm joined with Jamerson, and Stormpoint already starting off not disappointing.
Yeah, we saw plenty of action there, but it was amazing macro play. And that listen in with Na'Vi just really did drive home the point I think Nasky gave us when it came to that halftime show, right? It's going to come down to the IGLs, the most experienced ones. It's really going to test them. By the end of this split, we will know who the best IGLs are. And you can see how much you actually have to consider now when it comes to this new draft, how teams rotate. It's just so much to take in. And I don't envy any of the IGLs who have to try and navigate this, especially here in week number 1.
Yeah, this is where all the chaos really just kind of evens things out as we take a look at the series results of the matches thus far. Passion sitting in that number 1 spot here, right above next up with 49 points, but making that gap a little big between themselves and the remaining 3 squads right underneath them that are all tied 38 apiece.
Yeah, and of course, bringing up the rear in the top 5, it's Aurora, who haven't had a huge standout game yet, but they constantly show the threat that they are when it comes to these mid-game team fights, how strong they are. Ultimately, though, Na'Vi really slowing them down. I believe it was Kinda that was almost able to take a 1v3 to really slow them down. So Aurora, I think it's just, you know, finding that right moment for themselves. I think sometimes they play a little bit too fast. I know they want to get aggressive. I know they're strong players, but sometimes you do have to worry more about getting those placement points. You can see the discrepancy, 12 placement points to the 22 kills. Amongst our top 4, though, it's a little bit closer in that split, right? You got 16 to 22, 16 to 22 for Vex and next up, but it was Passion right now who are focusing a lot more on making sure they get the plus 12 at the end of the day, and that is why they are currently at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's more than just, you know, getting that KP. It's being able to get that positioning so that way you could get those placement points and putting yourself in a good spot with quick rotates if you have to. I mean, even looking on the other side, when you take a look at Blacklist, once again, very kill-heavy team with 14 KP, but they aren't getting those placement points that you could expect.
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be one of those splits where our teams are definitely tried. And right now, I think Blacklist are doing at least a decent job of navigating that mid game, finding those kill points. But right now, again, it's about converting. You have to be able to convert that mid game into the late game. A lot of teams, I think that's the biggest struggle for them. But right now, we have had these very polarizing zones, especially when we were on Stormpoint here, more of a centralized one. It was a little bit difficult for teams to navigate. And we had a lot of, I would say, very uncharacteristic kinds of rotates. I mean, that one Cybercats, I thought, you know, the gall on them to really be putting on that pressure onto Na'Vi when they had the option to try and swing to the southeast side and rotate around the big rock, but instead they took a really risky play. They were able to force Na'Vi forward and use that timing to just balloon past them. So again, I love being able to see like all these macro decisions coming out from our squads, because I think this is the season where the macro is going to be the most important for our teams.
That's why I really like that listening with Na'Vi, because not only did they understand the situation that they were in and how many teams were waiting for them on the other side of that fight for that choke, but it was about how fast do you take these fights? What can you waste in these fights? Can you use a wall here? Can you actually save up your ultimate so that way you could use it for the next fight that you know will be inevitable? Even calling out that they wanted to force Cybercats behind them to evac out because they could not afford to take that fight. They knew if they did, they were going to lose out anyways because the third party was going to be waiting for them on the other side of that fence line. So little things like that is going to come into play depending on where our squads are going to be rotating from.
Yeah, and I love to listen in again as well, driving home that point, is because you saw the experience coming out from Na'Vi. They really already understood that position. When the team's coming out from Jurassic at that point, you are in a much better position, of course, trying to angle them in. They don't have the same kind of options to try and climb up and look down at you. They already knew, hey, playing off our back here, the only option is that they have to balloon out at that point. They're not going to be able to pressure us on angles alone, and so we don't have to worry about that as much. That's why they were afforded the space to be able to push forward, even going down super far, sliding down to the low ground there. They didn't have to worry about their backs as much, leave them a lot more space to try and push up onto Infinite. I believe, what was it? Go next or next up. It was still surprising though, ultimately in the end there, where that final remaining solo player still somehow was able to sneak past Na'Vi. Na'Vi, who had eyes all over the field, saw everything, was able to really predict everything, weren't able to predict that final rat just running out of that fight somehow.
Literally broke their ankles, like, and listening to the comms at the very end, like they were fixated on getting the banner and seeing what they could do, because I didn't even see a Moby, so it wasn't like they were even going to be able to get a res regardless, but then still was able to get that last straggler when that final circle was closing in. But regardless, there were so many teams that I prioritized their rotate up on those rocks on the north side that it was GG once you're stuck by the fence line right there. That's when we could expect the most chaos between the Caustic Nox grenade and even the Bangalore ult coming in as well. It was so much space to have to work with once you're still on the outskirts of that building and the rocks.
Yeah, I love seeing the Caustic coming out, and we were mentioning it when we were over on Stormpoint that a lot of the controller legends now that we're seeing, of course, high priority on Catalyst. We're seeing Watson coming up second pick, and when that happens, right, we always know it's an old adage when it comes to Apex Legends. The more teams that end up using a legend, the weaker it becomes, and well, the less teams that end up using a legend, the stronger it becomes. So bringing out the Caustic here is so incredibly strong because you don't have maybe 6, 7 other Caustics running around. You have that natural advantage once you're inside of that Caustic gas. So I like this pickup from Na'Vi. I want to see them continue with it, and I want to see it succeed, especially because we're never a fan when there's a dominant meta. We love to see this kind of legend diversity.
Yeah, I want to take a look at the draft here, too, to see where these teams are going to land. Because you talk about the legend compositions coming into play here. We know that a lot of these teams like to shift away from certain compositions, exiting out of World's Edge into Stormpoint to see how that works together in their favor. And I also love how you bring up the lack of Caustics in the lobby, which means that one Caustic is definitely going to be able to build up space for your team way better here with more freedom without worrying about another Caustic that could just walk up for free, right? So now we get to take a look again at the different POIs where our squads wanted to land originally here on their draft pick.
And taking a look at this first page, right, this is the first 10 picks on Stormpoint. You can see that it still went up to pick 20. So that meant that we don't have an absolute philosophy on what to prioritize. It's still 50-50 within the first 20 picks, whether you want to prioritize Stormpoint or prioritize World's Edge. I think as we get more data, as the split goes on and on, we might see a bit more of a skew going towards one map, and I want to see which one that is.
It's all about our comfort zones as our squads with this nice flyby. Get to see once again where they'll be landing. Notice for all the other teams nearby with their rotate, and depending on where that circle will be pulling, who they'll be able to run into depending on the timing of their loop pattern. But you talk about the different draft picks. I mean, we know that Apex Warlords, they had, I believe, first pick priority for that first set of maps on World's Edge, and then had the last priority for Stormpoint, which is why they're stuck with Devastated Coast, a POI that has a lackluster loot there too, but could really come in clutch here, depending on where these circles are going to be pulling. As Aurora also, by the way, gets Cenote, which is fantastic for them, because not only do they get Cenote here, but they also get a pretty good standing over on World's Edge too, I believe, with Echo. Or rather, sorry, Sky East.
When we talk about the draft, I mean, with Apex Warlords being the 40th pick here, and they're left with very few options, and honestly, Devastated Coast is really only the best one, unless they want to try and contest for, I think Barometer North was open, but that would be contesting basically up against Na'Vi, and then Cliffside, I believe, is the other open one here on Stormpoint for Group A and B. So you're left with either playing off Cliffside, which is, you know, an unnamed POI for you to drop at that has terrible loot. Your rotation path and timing and priority is just absolutely atrocious, or you go for a contest, or you're left with Devastated Coast. So I think you definitely take Devastated Coast at that point for them.
Gotta make do with what you got. And I mean, with a circle like this, they're definitely gonna be able to thrive, because we are moving on over to another southeastern circle. Not pulling as north as we had seen in that previous circle, but definitely still benefits a lot of the squads. As you guys could see the overview here, talk about Apex Warlords beforehand now as they exit out of Devastated Coast. So is Gaming Gladiators, they're obviously gonna be able to get out of Echo HQ with better loot, but also the ring beacon that they have right there.
Yeah, and that's going to be crucial if they can actually just stay on that position and have it uncontested, to have that scan over and over again, because there is a huge 50-50, right? This can go over towards the launch pad side. This can go over the pylon. Well, maybe not 50-50. I think maybe 40-40 and then 20% to go down over towards Echo HQ. But if GG can maintain this position, that is going to be huge for them. For the other teams around them, you also have to play off of context. If you see that scan and then you see GG are on top of it and they make a move after ring number 2 and picking up that scan, sometimes you do let the team go for the scan so that you can play off that context, play off the information. Oh, the team just got the scan. They decide to rotate this way. That means the ring is going that way as well. So you can avoid yourself having to put yourself in a vulnerable position to try and take a scan and instead play off of that.
Having all the information available to them, as it looks like Trojan right behind another player trying to close in the gap. Nice suppressed fire though from the high ground. Navi trying to give that one player that was on the low ground suppressed fire, and it actually worked. Trojan with the double trident are going to be able to get Matafi's items. That's the player that they were able to get knocked originally. Luckily for Navi though, they were able to at least survive as a duo, so we could see if they could try to get them back up.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, it's Trojans that end up moving out here faster. Aurora, I believe, are just off to the west at Cenote Cave, so I thought they might have priority to possibly rotate into them. We do have a small engagement here onto the northern side right now. It's going to be Atlas versus Eternal.
Huh. You'll be all right. All right, gonna be able to punch them into cover inside the smoke so that way they could get that res here too. Kind of scrapping here going on in different sides of this map. While they are able to get the reset for right now, Thurnal still looking at Atlas, who is still alive, but Passion's going to be able to gatekeep them both, coming out of the checkpoint side, or forcing maybe a Thurnal to take a roundabout rotate into that northern part of the circle.
And I've been loving how Eternal have been playing throughout the day so far. We haven't talked as much about them, but they are really good at tempo and controlling tempo and playing off of that. They don't take too many. They're not the flashiest team. They're not taking the biggest risk. You can see them sizing up fights and really taking in all the information before they make a call on that one. And so far they've had some pretty decent results, and I think they can really convert that. Full English though, now making the rotate to the south hand side, coming out from Stormcatcher here. Don't really see anything in their way. They might have spotted one squad because they swerve off here to the left.
Yeah, that was forbidden. That was right underneath them. And even if they swerve around here, there is a ring console that they could work with, seeing as they take the catwalk for free. This is huge here. And that beacon that's right on top. And they're going to be able to see where all the other squads are going to be at right now, too. As you can see, another team with the Watson fence is going to be able to try to take up that space by that choke. And Passion UA creeping up over by the side. But there's a lot of space here to coexist in general for a circle like this.
Yeah, going back to full English, I mean, that was a beautiful flight path. I didn't know you could actually make it onto the high ground of Launchpad from there, but also double dipping. One member swerved off to the eastern side to pick up an Evo cache, so you can see why these macro plays, these macro calls are so important for the IGLs to keep in track of. There's so many variables and so many things to consider, and so to see them on top of all that is fantastic.
Love to see it here as Passion now engaging on their fight. Get the scan. It's that one player just trying to back away. And it's about these Evo Harvesters is where you can expect a lot of fighting to play down, because a lot of these teams in the middle of their rotate want to prioritize those Evo Harvesters for all the right reasons to get those perks online here too. As the Bangle is going to be able to build up some space, Nine Bongo, Maxi are going to be able to back away in time, deciding to maybe just try to rotate on the other side here if possible, because it was Passion that beat them on this rotate earlier that we had seen before through Checkpoint, and now they're already at Cascade Falls.
Yeah, with a scan and one more Evo Harvester, they should get themselves, I believe, up to purples across the board. And it's really unfortunate for a team like Eternal. They got into that really slow fight on the northern side, and so now things have cascaded into them slowing down. They do have a pathing to go through Checkpoint. There seems to be a few caches along the way. Maybe go down to Ceto Station and pick up a scan there as well. So things aren't terrible for them. They can definitely pick up a few kills along the way, I think, if they path down from this side. And especially with the simple fact that they know that Atlas has been behind them this entire time. That's the team that they were gatekeeping on a North Pass side. Excuse me. Looks like we do have a small engagement here. Cybercat's already losing out on ranches.
Ooh, small engagement, but with 4 or 5 other squads already in this area, you already know that Chaos is going to go down over by this north side of Echo HQ. As Cybercat's trying to play for their lives, though. Lonzy is so incredibly low before he gets taken down around the corner. Now Trojan just sending off so many of these different nades. Even with the bang smoke, there's only so much you could do here with the limited corner that you're working with.
Yeah, this is a lot of utility to commit onto 2 kills, but maybe they're banking on the fact that they can get a resupply basically off of these 2 bodies. There it is. Cybercats do ultimately get finished off. Trojans now do have to worry about the threat to the back. Thermite forcing them back along with that scan. But Atinum will be safe for the time being. The Trojans, though, will they be able to force that position? Will they be able to force that ring scan as we actually get a little bit more information? Ooh, take a look at this engagement. Once again, it's Eternal turning onto Atlas once more.
It's always the Eternal Atlas fight that we've been seeing so far here, and now claiming the high ground. Bambino was able to get a knock, so they want to capitalize, but also depending on what they have to work with in terms of meds playing outside the circle too here. Bongo's going to be able to slide in, confirm that kill at the very least, and Eternal and already try to take priority as Atlas are just going to try to wait by to see if they can pick up that banner while the fight has not stopped over by Echo HQ. This looks to be like Trojan versus Passion UA here. Trojan playing off this low ground, but at least they have at least 2 purples actually to work with here for this fight.
Yeah, the Watson, though, slowing things down a lot. You can see that it's really hard for them to angle and try and break that node, but they finally do get it through the smoke now. Nyx landing them shots with that Hemlock will try and slow them down. The Trojan find an angle here from the right-hand side. It's going to be Atinum now getting flanked, and he responds in time. Passion UA get wiped out in 19th.
What a clean fight from Trojan right there, too. They had beamed, I believe it was Max Drafey first there, too, and there's no other team that could approach him right now.
Yeah, this is really great for them. They took almost no damage in that fight. There were no trades. It was an absolute clean fight. And so despite having teams like Na'Vi in the area, maybe even Gaming to come in to look for the third party without a trade, they're absolutely safe. Even utilizing the Watson generator to help them reset quickly here. Now, we do have players still slow rotating on the north side. They've actually were able to pick up, I think, a kill onto a squad here. It's going to be Blacklist International limping away from this fight.
Ooh, but players seeing some of the shots, though. Zanya falling a little low. He's going to be able to get away, though, with the shield bat. And thanks to the smoke here, too. But Blacklist has been on a tear when it comes to trying to take some of these fights, and now having to forcibly rotate into the circle around probably either from the launchpad side or from the northern side that leads uphill.
And for the players here, I think they're happy to slow play this one. I mean, going all the way down to the south side of the map, from, I believe their position was wall, they understood they're not going to have any kind of priority onto even a decent building down by Launchpad, but this one continues to pull down over towards Echo HQ, almost over towards the devastated coast side. So this is the perfect play for them. Just slow play, make sure you're farming up your Evo the entire time. Their pathing looks fantastic here. They do leave the body a little bit early. I think Blacklist might be able to come back in to pick up their third, but as we get a better look at this, take a look at how much mountain is left in that next zone, Vicky.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm no stranger to this. And honestly, I want to highlight Blacklist having the lifeline. They could absolutely get that res there too if they wanted to, if they missed out on the banner for whatever reason. But looking at the amount of squads also already kind of coexisting by that bridge, that's definitely going to be where the chaos is going to break out here too. That and that southern choke that you see Trojan, Na'Vi, and Aurora trying to rotate through that southern side of Echo.
Now here on the southeast side over by Devastated Coast, it's going to be full English getting cleaned up by Gaiman Gladiators here. And was not expecting that out of the full English squad. Don't know what set off this course of events, but it's a very unfortunate ending for them, going down in 18th place. As Gaiman Gladiators, they have really been picking up the pace here across the last 3 games right now. As we take a look at Eternal, I think this is round number 3 versus them, and no, this isn't.
Wow.
Atlas on the other side of this one. It looks like Infinite were able to come in and take advantage of the attention being drawn away from them. So despite Eternal doing a great job of kind of like sustainably farming Atlas over and over again, they finally get punished here on that slow rotate. So Infinite will go ahead and pick that up.
And Atlas are still alive there too. I believe they're having to play separate because they still were able to get that res, while Passion looking to try to gatekeep them right now as they fly over the fence here, taking the gravity cannon. 0-0. Fortunately hitting none of those shots there with the 30-30. A little difficult to track there while you try to land on the other side of Pylon, but Nessie's already there, and so is Go next to the south side of Pylon. So Forbidden just holding that spot if they can here. Well, they have to wrap around that rock. You mentioned it before, Jamerson, but the majority of this circle is literally the rock until that next circle pulls away for the squads. I don't have that ring beacon.
And I'm so surprised that so many teams are lingering around here over by Pylon with 20 seconds, 30 seconds left to go before the zone starts closing in. Maybe they're banking on being able to use an evac tower to get out of here, but you need to do it sooner rather than later because now you're leaving so much up to chance. There are so many teams in the area here. You can see Na'Vi, though, I think they came out the victors in a fight here on the south-hand side. You can see Aurora moving on in. Na'Vi are stuck inside of the armory currently, and they've used the majority of their utility in the fight before this. So this is where they're probably the most vulnerable, but Aurora haven't been able to notice that, haven't been able to really identify that and take advantage. So Na'Vi get a free pass to survive.
That is nothing here too to be able to at least take a little crumb of that cover if they can, as Nessie with an evac tower looking to plan their next move and where they want to rotate here, because we know that there's 3 other squads in Pylon. Putting up 2 is so smart there too, because in case it gets shot down, they at least have another one that they can take advantage of. And even with a Moby being called in as well, Moby and the evac tower, they immediately get taken out as Atlas try to capitalize. Another fight on the other side is Blacklist now. No third party inside, as Infinite with A-Bot trying to clutch it out with the Piece of the Hunt activated. Gets another crack. Nice hip fire shots too, having to look behind him just in case a third party could be coming in. Trying to see if he could wrap around this rock, but he looks great in terms of health there before trying to find a nice little angle. Gets a crack, gets the knock, and could potentially get a shield swap, but instead, with the ring closing in right behind him, he wants to close in the gap, and he gets shot from the side. Infinite get eliminated.
And that was a scary fight to be taking with so many teams taking the evac towers as well. Anyone could have come in for the third party, but they do at least survive until the 15th with some kills. Nessie now smelling some weakness. They've got Beast of the Hunt popped as Graceful will go ahead and charge forward. Shooting through that smoke, he gets the crack, but no critical damage quite yet. So Nessie have to back away from this one. A minute to go before the zone starts closing. Now they start to have to worry about this rotate in. They've already utilized, remember, 2 of their evac towers with that evac decoy play. And so they might just be completely out. They have to hoof the rest of this one. Yeah, none for JMW. I don't believe Graceful had one either. And there's no evac tower in the hands of Bavis there. So they do have to consider that as they continue to move on in. Running it into a team here, unfortunately. And now things are looking a little bit dicey. They lose out on one. Forbidden ends up trading, though, as Calamitous goes down.
Navin's got it deleted here too, but Lexus with the Beast of the Hunt and the flatline, finding some of those hipfire shots and now aiming down that 3 times here. Nessie get eliminated. It is a very tough rotation from the squads to have to come over to this north side, but at least they get the res and they get the reset.
Yeah, they needed to move faster than we were talking about, not having the option of the evac towers there, having to utilize both of them. So unfortunately, without that tool, you end up walking into an ambush there from Forbidden. And now that's going to allow a few openings. Vexen come in as we keep an eye on Aurora, though. They've been doing a great job of holding down here on the southwest side. Remember, they came in from Cenote Cave, so it was a natural rotation coming in from the south side. A lot of this ground was cleared out by teams like Na'Vi and I think Gaimin as well. And so they are the beneficiaries, ultimately, of all those fights that took place. They don't have, I don't think, any kills to their names quite yet, but they might, as we have Go Next pushing on to their position.
Right through the catwall here too. Hardeki holding a high ground position, but Oya Rain gets called out over to the left side after the wall gets taken down. Now Hardeki finding some of the beams though. 9 impulses right behind. He couldn't give him the backup because he lost on his shield here too, but with the disruptor rounds, it cannot make miracles. Aurora get eliminated, and now Na'Vi looking to capitalize versus Go Next.
Yeah, and that's going to be an easy cleanup for Na'Vi, and definitely just clearing out the south side of the map. A huge game so far. They are the kill leaders with, I believe, 6 kill points overall. And I think these are just the remaining teams. Basically, at this point, we're down to 6 squads, 14 players left. We've got about 4 teams, I think, here. A solo running around somewhere, maybe 2 solos. It's hard to tell with the math right now. 14 players. There should be 18 overall in the lobby, so there's a lot missing.
It's a matter of all the other teams but Na'Vi are all fighting on that north side. So Na'Vi is just going to take free pickings as a lot of these squads are going to be forced to rotate from that northern side. Oblivious to that last player from Gaming Gladiators. That's going to be Light saying goodbye. Next up now, dropping off from the high ground. Nags just looking to see if he can try to take that zip line right back up to the rest of his teammates here. But this is where all the actions are going to play out as Bambino is a solo, it looks like, playing off that little lip of the building here from Eternal.
Yeah, Nax just needs one good scan, but this is going to be a difficult rotate to say the least. You can see Na'Vi have already set up on the south side, and we have a huge pileup. Apex Warlords, Danish, along with Next Up, basically with their backs to the rings right now. And it's all about who blinks first, who's gonna drop down a little bit too early and get absolutely punished here. It's up to Na'Vi, really, more than anything else, to not just win the game, but pick up as many kills as possible. This is a huge opportunity for Na'Vi to possibly pull out a 30 bomb. We'll see if they can do it.
Bambino says nothing to see here. Someone call pest control here as Na'Vi look at all the teams funneling in their line of sight from the high ground. Christmas came early for this team. Apex Warlords get eliminated. Our last 3 squads left in this lobby, and it's Na'Vi versus Next Up as another 3v3 man. And Eternal is somehow still alive, with Bambino managing to get into some sort of cover before he's inevitably taken out.
This is a huge game for Na'Vi. They just need to close things out, but now we're brought back almost to dead center, right? 50-50 between these two teams that are all full up as well. Next up, do have the purple armors. Na'Vi, I don't quite remember what they had on the other side. Yeah, Kaina's already sitting on red, but unfortunately, Tyler and Matafe don't have the reds for themselves, so it's still a fairly even fight. The difficulty now is the terrain. Na'Vi have priority. They are an ultimate god spot here in the fight. The smoke out, and now kind of looking to get aggressive. Beautiful spray down onto one. Will follow up the damage, get the crack and the kill, and that's Na'Vi taking game number 5.
You blink and you may have missed it. Na'Vi with a great approach to that final fight there too. Of course, they did have the high ground advantage there too, but with kind of having the beast of the hunt, those smoke nades could only provide so much cover to work with here. As Na'Vi also held that position for quite some time too, Jamerson. You were mentioning them basically being uncontested by that truck.
Yeah, and honestly, Na'Vi did such amazing work there at the end. I was talking about it, you know, with that 3-team pileup on the north side. Na'Vi knew that they had basically all the space in the world. They can go ahead and go for the most audacious peaks. They don't even have to worry about standing still when they're aiming if they need to, right? As all the kills came to them, and they almost picked up all of them on that mad scramble from the teams coming in from the north side. That kill feed was all Na'Vi down that list.
Yeah, I believe they finished that dub with 13 KP on top of it. So a massive double-digit gain here for Na'Vi to work with. Definitely going to skyrocket them in the overall standings here. But also, it's the patience, too, that they were able to pick up those extra kills. They weren't going to dive into the action. They had Godspot at that point there, too. So just waiting for everything to play out in front of them while just taking free pickings.
Yeah, and there was a moment there where the scariest position for Na'Vi was when they had just finished off their fight inside that IMC armory, and Aurora were just sizing them up that entire time. If Aurora had pushed them, they would have had the fight advantage, right? Because Na'Vi had used up basically all of their utility. All their ultimates were expended in that IMC, inside that armory fights, and that was their weakest point. But Aurora did not strike at that. They ended up getting pushed in from the Aurora ended up getting pushed in from behind from that team coming in through basically the zone, and then from there, Na'Vi were able to clean up the remnants of that fight. And so they definitely earned all of that, but you do have to, of course, count your blessings that you don't end up getting third-partied after that fight, and Na'Vi navigated that so well. I'm so glad that we were able to listen in with them in game number 4, and it came to game number 5 here, where we get to see the big dub out of them.
I always love saying these game 5s to determine where our squads are standing right now as we take a look at the match 5 results. You look at that, yep, 13 KP for Na'Vi here with a huge dub on top of it, looking all the way down to even Forbidden with the 10 KP that they were able to pick up.
Yeah, extremely close for that 30 bomb for Na'Vi. Just a few kills ended up slipping out of their grasp, but they picked up the large majority of that, so that's going to help them immensely here. Next up, with another great performance here, 9th in placements overall, of course, and a 4 KP. Would have loved to have picked up a few more on that mad scramble, but they prioritize trying to play for the second, trying to have that extra priority, have that cover. They did have that natural kind of curve on the northeast side with a lot of tree cover courage and rocks to work out of, and Na'Vi were of course able to see that. The other teams had to basically jump down into the water, into the middle of nowhere, so it was just free fire for them. So next up were the beneficiaries of that. Again though, looking at the bottom half, there are so many teams that we are expecting a lot more out of. Full English, Passion, Aurora just did not have a good game number 5.
Yeah, that was Aurora rotating from Cenote too, so literally having to go from one side of the coast to the other out here, as well as Passion, at least getting that 3 KP, but it's that constant fight that we've been seeing up by Northpad, right? We've been seeing the Atlas, the Passion coming in, Eternal coming in as well, whenever it comes to just these skirmishing fights from the squads that have to rotate from that northwestern side.
Oh yeah, we have to also note that, remember, Na'Vi ended up losing out on a player on Barometer.
Yeah.
I forget who it was exactly, but they had to recover from that. So right now, I love the state of the game. I love how, you know, the Legends and mobile respawn beacons and like all the different factors can allow a team that's playing as a 2-man to get their 3rd back on in. I think it's so important, so strong. That's why we're seeing so many flex players now, that 3rd spot position, right? While we have all of our Bangalore and our Bloodhound players, we do have that 3rd flex position. It's not all Catalyst. We're seeing the other Control Legends coming in. We're seeing some of the support Legends coming in as well. So it's been great to see.
Yeah, I believe it was Matafi that actually was the first one taken out when they tried to isolate him. And I believe it was also Trojan that had approached him on a Trident too. So with a lot of the Legend diversity picks that we've been seeing, that's the Apex Legends that I love, Javerson. I love being able to see a lot of these teams take advantage of where they find their own strength. And you know what I also love? I love some more Apex Legends. We got game number 6 on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere because we got some more EMEA action. Welcome back, everyone, to the ALGS. What a jam-packed action it's been here for the EMEA region, and we still have one more game to go here for Game 6 on Storm Point.
Yeah, it's been an amazing start to this split. ALGS South, ALGS North already took place, I believe, like about 12 hours ago. And the South games were absolutely stellar to watch. I can't wait to go back and VOD review APAC North, and especially everything that's transpired here for EMEA.
Oh man, and looking at the series results, what did Na'Vi win with 13 KP bring for them? Well, it's brought them up to top 5 now with the 20 total kills that they've been able to accrue over the course of these last 5 matches here. And as well as Passion still sticking to the top, but that gap getting a little closer with next up right behind them.
And for our teams that are lower in the leaderboard of, you know, top 5 down for Na'Vi, Eternal, Aurora, they're still within reach of taking first place with a performance like Na'Vi had just pulled off in game number 5, right? If you can get another 25, that can propel you up. I don't know if it's going to be enough for first place, especially with how consistent our top 4 teams have been playing.
Actually huge here. Of course, we are going right back over to Storm Point, but I also really love to see the different teams that we've been seeing really kick things up. Although Next Up has consistently been within that top 5 in a lot of our other games. I mean, we saw them win game number 2 and then being right up there here for our previous game here as well. But now we got match number 6 to see how some more of these squads just need that one big bomb of a game to be able to change up the entire top end of the overall standings.
Yeah, Na'Vi, 25 points in that game. It could have been maybe 27, 28 if they picked up a few more kills on that scramble, but still they're happy with that one. But it seems like they are really now waking up here in the second half here on Storm Point now. Their game number 4 was still really good, but it was game number 5 that definitely helped them out the most and gave them a fighting chance as we join on board with them for the final game of the day.
Well, let's get started here. Trident in the distance here too. Taffy not going to be called out here, as well as Tyler. We'll be able to loot this back end of Barometer before trying to rotate quickly here. Trojan isn't going to go in with the quickness. You know, we saw them in the last game. They took a Trident. Were able to get, I believe it was a beacon that they had on the mill POI, and then immediately rotate from behind Barometer where they called out that one straggler of Na'Vi. But since this is the last game, no tricky surprises here for some of our squads before we see where we're moving on to. And it's going to be, this time, a much more southwest circle, Jamerson.
Yeah, very much Barometer. I don't think there are too many questions about where this one is going, but you're still going to want to get, of course, round number 2 zone scan just to make sure, because this one can go basically anywhere in Barometer. It's such a large POI, right? It can go to the bridge side on the north. It can heavily hard pull down to the south side where that beacon is. So I think for the teams that are going to be slow playing this out from edge, they are definitely going to focus on trying to maybe fight over or path over towards a ring console for themselves.
Get all the information that they need here while maintaining the POI advantage that Na'Vi has currently. Here's some shots, and again, it's the same fight that we've been seeing over to the north side of by Northcat that is inevitable, because while Atlas are taking some shots at the Flyers, Eternal are looking to close in the gap to see what they could try to dive in on if they can catch one of those members here from Atlas.
Yeah, the difficult thing is, you know, particularly for North Pad, is that it has been a contest point in the past, right? Teams do have taken the 50-50 here, but with the new dropship mechanic, right, with the fact that we don't have a flight path, you have a set area and there's a set perimeter, like max distance that you can actually get out from here. It doesn't allow, I don't think, these two teams really to try and maybe like hot drop onto each other, land on a crate and go for the 50-50 off of a crate weapon at that point. And so these fights, this contest between Eternal and Atlas, continue to prove to go extremely long. Honestly, at this point, I feel like if you're Eternal, if you're Atlas, you just say, no, I'm not even going to go for these trades with you. I think you really do have to focus more on the macro.
I agree, but it's about sending a message out here. They're still trying to see if they could engage right behind them, while knowing exactly where that circle is going to be pulling. But it could also be a fight for information, seeing that there is a survey and a ring console that now Eternal could take advantage of, and Atlas, wanting no beef, are already going to start rotating in the direction of Down Beast, where they don't really have to worry about Infinite or Passion that lands in checkpoint to be there waiting for them, as both teams have already gone ahead with the rotate. Passion's also going to be able to start scanning a survey beacon of their own by Mill, and Cybercats, with that information, have already gotten ahead and trying to find their own god spot here for this final circle.
Yeah, this is one of those positions where that ring can pull up to. Luckily for them, they moved in early, and they'll still be like rewarded for that. They have an Evo cache not too far off. You know, you can go for a cheeky little smoke to secure that one. It should be fairly easy for them, and so they're not going to be punished in terms of the economy, in terms of the Evo progress ultimately. As we now join on board with Go Next Esports, moving to the south, they do have, it looks like it's Passion UA. You saw Max Strafey there actually kind of mirror them and running parallel to them at this point. But there is going to be a natural divergence in their rotation pathing here. Go Next can go through the mountain. Passion's going to have to kind of swoop around to the south-hand side. And so don't really expect a fight there. For Forbidden, though, running out into the open with white armors. That's a scary prospect to give away that information so early on.
Oof, it's also very scary to see how long they're holding onto this choke, because you know that teams could be rotating from right behind you from the direction of Cedo Station. So Forbidden are trying to take some natural cover with the rocks, and Cybercats being right alongside them by the bridge. We're looking at more teams with their quick rotate. Danish, talk about white Evos, double white here with the blue Evo shield to work with while playing off the low ground, trying to see if they can get information. They know that there's a team right above them there, but just trying to find the exact exact positioning from each of those players that they could see another survey beacon scan.
Yeah, that had to have been the team that I believe ballooned just over Cybercats when we were there earlier on, especially seeing how they had the white armor. So yeah, they weren't able to path it well at all, unfortunately. I think they came out from Jurassic, so yeah, there wasn't too much of a rotation path for them really to take, and so they are just highly prioritizing getting into center zone for Go Next Esports now as they move through Jurassic. It doesn't seem like they have too much opposition. There are scans going down, pings going down, and there's a scan to clear out that fence line at the very least, so they feel relatively safe, and honestly, they can take their time. They're here pretty hard edge. They can loot out further if they wanted to. They're still sitting pretty far off from purples, so I would like to see them maybe extend out a little bit further out to try and pick up some more Evo caches. As I say that though, it looks like they might actually run into a team.
And they could farm it off of this squad here too. We can see it's full English and the outskirts rocking their own set of purple Evos. So they have an extra perk here in comparison to Go Next that are still rocking blue Evo shields. With that scan, though, they're trying to engage this smartly to see if they want to try to fully engage here or if they would just rather wrap around from the south side of Pylon. But looking on the other side, they do get scan Serdell, trying to get even more information on the Catalyst here.
Yeah, for full English
either
here.
of these teams trying to fully extend.
Yeah, for full English here, you can see why they prioritized for their first pick, going for, I believe it was a Zeus Station, a rotation path down from the eastern edge and going down towards zones like this. They just pick up so many Evos, so many scans. It's so much for, in terms of economy for them. Like, they have purple shields when most teams are still sitting on whites and blues. So, and this is extremely early on in the game. And so they're really able to bully with that. Now they just need to convert that. Again, they haven't been able to in the last 2 games, but maybe this is their game.
It's inevitable when you're rotating from Zeus there too. It's just so many different pathings you can take advantage of with the Evo Harvesters here. I love this little flyby to look at all the squads that have decided to coexist inside of Barometer. Even the squads that are playing on the outskirts instead of the DBZ building. You can see Nessie right under there with Graceful and Co., as well as Gaming Gladiators playing more so by the edge, away from all the action. But with that flyby, you can see Cybercats have not moved for that bridge area here too, while welcoming other teams like Infinite into the fray.
Yeah, once you get into that position for Cybercats, you're kind of stuck there. There's not much you can do. So many teams that have angles on you. You have to really play off of the stairwell. That's like your only cover, and even then, it doesn't feel that safe. You're just kind of hoping that the other teams around you stop anyone else from pushing, because you don't have too many angles off that bridge to really angle people out. It's more about really hoping that high ground is the one that keeps your perimeter clear. For Infinite, though, it's all about perimeter security. Never mind, they're gonna go ahead and give that one up. They unfortunately lose out on aimbot, and Kizaron as well.
Oh no, I'm gonna play this out as a solo. Holding the Buster Sword for safety. Can't even do much here as they get that finishing blow, and even the scan to call him out. But the other scan, though, from the team looking for him, doesn't hit him, so he's actually safe for right now inside that corner.
Players will go ahead and clear that one out as well. All your fences are gone. Really unfortunate for them to be able to move in so early there, but right now, Cybercats, I believe, got a piece of that action as well, and that's surprising. Again, that position doesn't afford you too much in terms of KP. You don't have too many angles to peek out from and steal that one away, but I think they did pick up one at the very least. That brings us down to 18 squads, 52 players left here in zone number 2, and zone is just about to close up. Nice little pickup there for Zanya, as he does get that ultimate excel for them, and honestly, that might allow them to clear out a little bit more of that barometer side. We'll see, though. We do have a wide wrap coming out from Passion UA. Wondering if they're trying to maybe find a beacon out here. No, they've got a scan. They've got information on a team that decided to fall all the way back to Echo HQ.
Oh, they beamed them. You think you're safe, but not today. Not on that survey beacon. Passion UA had the same idea. Now have capitalized off of getting a knock onto Blacklist. Nice crack coming in. He does get stuck by an arc star, but that's fine here. They would have no issue taking circle damage and overextending to take this fight. 3 free KP for them here, though, but they do lose out on Max J before the last player gets taken out from Blacklist.
it's still early zone damage, so that's going to be an easy reset for them. So a nice little pickup there for Passion UA. They'll be able to get the scan as well, but they've got a long way to go. They're going to eat into a lot of their economy. They got to hope that those boxes have plenty of white meds for them because, yeah, this is going to be a long rotation out for them. Aurora, though, now looking for a team as the Beast of the Hunt was popped, but they haven't been able to catch up quite yet. Beast of the Hunt gone. RERUN has to back away as that Rolling Thunder comes out. So Aurora looking for their patented mid-game aggression, just haven't been able to find the kill here quite yet.
I'm looking at all the other teams that are playing by the edge of the circle here too, Jamerson. Aurora, you see them taking their time on their rotate away from a lot of that chaos, but it's prioritizing the Evo Harvesters. That's why they have those purple Evo shields before they get into that next circle. Well, Trojan hugging each of these angles here out in the open in Barometer, being able to use these fence lines to their side to get out of the line of sight of these other teams. And while they are going to be here, you have to worry about teams like Gaming Gladiators that are over to that south side of Barometer. Danish right in the middle alongside Trojan that are looking at them. It's like another team taking to the skies here to maybe see if they could try to find an angle, or a trident actually in the distance here to see if they could wrap around.
Yeah, these teams really want the next ring console again. You can see that there's still almost all of Barometer in on this one, but it's going to pull direct center essentially, but it does hug that southwest side, and hey, no surprises here. It's going to be GG in position for it. Now, with their back absolutely clear, there shouldn't be anyone rotating in for them. They have a lot of freedom now, excuse me, just to keep an eye on the rest of Barometer. They don't even have to worry about anyone late rotating in behind them. Passion UA decided to, it looks like, take an evac tower to try and get into the middle of Barometer there, but they're eating a lot of gas for it.
Ooh. If they can set up here, it would be absolutely huge because we see Artico has that gen ready to go. Sending out more of these nades can create so much more space. While next up, still playing off the high ground, Apex Warlords forced to back away though before trying to reposition to see what Passion UA is already set up. But this is a good spot for them because if you see where that next circle is pulling, which it looks like they may have gotten that information, they're in a really good spot, at least in the corner before they're forced to give up this middle Barometer building.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made that maybe they could have walked in, but there are so many teams on high ground. We know how difficult it can be to rotate in through the water around Barometer. So many teams end up finding their games ended just like that. Aurora, though, still playing extremely hard edge here. Might have had a target on in front of them, but for now, it looks like they will get away as the zone will be closing in. They've got a few teams ahead of them. You got Passion, you got Forbidden, so this isn't going to be free. So Aurora still have to stay on top of things here.
As they make this approach, though, talk about Passion waiting for them right there on that bridge. Forbidden could easily go in for a third party if they decide to engage, or are they going to be forced to try to fly in here? And it does look like that's going to be the case with the evac tower. I do like this call for now, the double decoy evac tower that we've seen before, to see where they could try to approach from here, because there's just little to nowhere for them to really land in Barometer without already getting shot. As you can see, the evac tower getting shot at too.
Yeah, and you can see why a lot of teams try to go into Barometer early on and establish an early position, because sometimes you're just left with some of the worst ones. OJ extremely low, but they were able to navigate the skies and get it in safely. So for Aurora now, looking to now convert from that mid game into the late game, possibly get, you know, one of their best games of the day under their belt. I mean, they've had some middling results throughout the day, but they have been keeping up it with a good average in terms of points. I think somewhere around 7 points per game at the very least, which keeps you competitive when it comes to game number 6.
Pretty consistent overall here too. While Aurora looking to reset, saw them try to pop a shield bat. Yeah, it's going to be Hardeki avoiding the Arc Star. We've seen this angle before. We've seen how deadly he gets stuck by the Arc Star, and if that's not even enough, he gets beamed by the Havoc here. 9 Impulse just trying to shimmy shade his way into some cover, but so many other teams have them in their line of sight, as FG now have been able to move in.
Yeah, Forbidden are trying to take advantage of this. Aurora, though, will be able to survive. It looks like players actually giving them some space and force Forbidden back. But for the time being, it's just a momentary pause as Impulse will go down. That's going to be Kazakh picking that one up, leaving Aurora just as a solo here. 16 squads, 42 players remaining now. FG still sizing up that player's position, considering maybe if we could just walk for free across this, but they need the smokes. Unfortunately for them, no wall. And so this is going to be a very risky rotate now as players are still lingering around.
Yeah, I believe we saw them use that wall earlier just to get into this position alone, but luckily they have the ultimate accelerant just to be able to try to get that closer for the next circle closes in right behind them in the next 20 seconds, but the mother load coming in before the engagement from players to take advantage. They knew they had Blue Evo, so players already starting this off with an advantage.
And the timing on that is perfect. Leaves them with plenty of time as they clean this one up to reset, fully heal up, and walk in with the zone, because now they have no threats really to worry about behind them. It's all about ahead of them. We'll see, though, if Kazakh was able to hold on to maybe a smoke to make this cross a little bit easier, but they should go largely uncontested. Now here in smack dab in the middle of the zone, you can see next up with that position, that high ground, and maybe look over in their direction, possibly pepper them. Right below them we saw, I believe that was Passion, made it to the ground floor of that building.
Man, maybe we're having fun too in the kill feed. Saw him get that knock with the Sentinel, while next up, hail from above with so much more pressure. They see the fighting happening. They want to maybe get involved here, but they're still in that next circle, so they want to maintain this positioning. While all this fight is happening right underneath them, Cybercats now trying to get out of their line of sight with the fence right behind them. Beast of the Hunt activated here, but right as he pops it, he gets taken down. Catwall finally coming up here, but they're trying to cover both angles at once.
Yeah, and really all they're utilizing are for smokes, but that's not going to be enough. No, he somehow sticks it, and it looks like Phoenix and Livin will allow him to get that one off for free. There's a catalyst wall that ended up going down, so that did end up saving them. Full English had eyes on it, unfortunately. Weren't able to capitalize. Getting swung on the left-hand side is Full English here, who now have to be careful. They're getting beset on multiple angles. Archstars in, that's the knock onto one. Sir Dell falling down, though. They do have this huge rock to play off of, but the pressure is unrelenting. I think Gaiman might be coming in here. Ultimate is popped by Phoenix, and that might just be enough to deter them. Oh, the Bangalore connections out. Now here comes the airburst lit nade. Is that going to be enough? Is that the three-pointer? No, not quite there to connect, but Blast is to follow up. Full English cleaned up, and now we're down to our final 10.
And with the Beast of the Hunt to also lead the way to pinpoint exactly where they were hiding by that smoke, and now Gaming Gladiators move up into a way better position than what they were holding beforehand on that southern building of Barometer. Cybercats on the outskirts looking at them here too, but this was the chaos that we were expecting. Just to know, when we had 12 squads left, there were 10 of those squads over on the north side of this circle, and this is where we're going to see the bloodbath really happen, as Trojan now, they get the Bane with the Nemesis, but little to no energy ammo for Remix to really work with. He gets beamed. It's Gaming Gladiators that are looking to clean everything up, but they gave up that southern position as Cybercats now move into that same spot. And next up are looking to see where they can fly on top of Gaming Gladiators. Atlas now only down to a solo here, as Zuni's looking to see if he can try to inch forward. Currently see the scan also. Patching UA finally move in here. Can Atlas reset with the circle closing in? That is the question.
Yeah, there's a lot of chaos around them right now. Even with that Rolling Thunder going down, they get one up at the very least, and that might be enough to give them a little extra firepower here to possibly pick up some kills. And ultimately, of course, here we're in the top 6. Every position you survive is that much more points. Atlas, though, ultimately end up going down. It's going to be GG picking those kills up. Go next, dropping down to the low ground, taking a lot of damage. Wall out as Kashera will try and play inside that smoke, but it's going to be Slab to go down. Kashera utilizing that passive HP regen from that skill, but now as Kai goes through the veil, he spots out 3. That's Danish going straight into their crosshairs. Now we're down to our top 4.
Kai thriving out here too, right into his open arms through the catwall as Go Next survive as a duo. Gaming Gladiators did a whole other 180. They have now rotated from that northern side here, closer to that building that we saw them before, and now have wrapped around behind Go Next, looking to see if they can hide in that next corner. While Passion UA pinch them, they get eliminated, and Cybercats still alive as a solo here with 3 squads left.
That's insane that he was able to survive for that long. We'll see, though, if the scan picks him up, but you kind of have to keep your scan focused on the team in front of you. It's a 3v3. You don't want to waste that one to try and fight or excuse me, find this solo rat. Luke taking a lot of damage there, but he does have that raw cover to push out. The airbrush nade not quite connecting onto Blast now as the final fight starting to come towards Gaiman's way.
Sanya's been going crazy this game, by the way, from Passion UA. He's got 7 KP alone by himself. While Gaming Gladiators trying to get into a different position. That was from all the action that we saw from Barometer as Sanya once again continues his onslaught of damage, leaving that player literally one. Cybercats finally get eliminated without Passion UA giving up so much of that space.
Now they've got this rock to try and utilize the head angle from, but Max Strafey and Artico as well have a very similar position. Aggressive push out from Light now as he tries to chase them down. Never mind, that's just going to be a pylon for them to finish off. Wall down now, playing on either side. Blast, though, is on the edge, and he tries to angle them out, but no, he gets spotted early on, and it's forced back. Nice little flank here, though, coming out from Sanya, and the damage is there. Blast goes down. It's a 3v2, and ultimately, it's going to be Passion UA cleaning things up here. Game number 6, and take the victory.
In such a clean fashion there too. Can we talk about that final fight with the way that they also try to create space with the Watson fence there right through that wall where they were trying to forcefully rotate through, and then we saw Sanya take that flanking angle to put in even more pressure, making them break their neck and look in 2 different directions at once with the suppress fire.
Yeah, that wall just, they weren't able to utilize it as well. I mean, you saw them really trying to angle on the edge there and catch them off guard. Unfortunately, they were ready for a Passion UA, holding that angle the entire time, instantly cracking him, forcing him back, and now they lose that position. And you saw how Passion UA, once they had that advantage in the fight, they were able to take the positional advantage. They were able to swing down to that opening on the wall, get over there, find the angle, and Sanya just had free reign from that side to clean it up. So perfectly well executed come out from Passion UA, and honestly, it was just a treat to see them do that. But for GG, you know, you have to admit that they had a really strong position there in Barometer. We were talking about the ring going straight their way. I believe they were able to pick up a good amount of kills at the very least from having that zone go to them so early on.
Yeah, I believe it was 7 KP that they had finished that game early, and even then, being able to get that placement is very crucial to see where they stand in the overall standings. But you highlighted Sanya. Sanya had finished that game with 9 KP alone, so very explosive game out here coming in from Passion UA. We talk about double-digit dubs out here when Na'Vi won Game 5. Well, Passion UA, they take the dub with 15 KP. Look at that. Wow, 27 total points for that final game. Talk about a final stride here, too, for this squad, as Danish also finishing off with 10 KP.
Yeah, and you know, for Cybercats there, it's kind of what you expect when you rotate into not the best of positions when it comes to Barometer there, at least picking up the 3 kills. And I think that's more really than you can ask for, especially when you're dropped down to just the solo there for the finish the end game. If they had maybe another player up, they could have had a little bit more fighting power. There's a world where you can 2v3 in these fights, but being able to secure 3rd place, absolutely massive for them. Get the +10 overall. Go Next Esports, with, of course, had a decent spot. Danish, I think, was playing the north side of Barometer. Were able to pick up a lot of the rotating kills coming in from the north side. Taking a look at the bottom half, and again, it's been a very similar story here in the bottom 10. Teams that we're really expecting to have an amazing performance here, just not really able to produce the results that I think a lot of people, not just us here on the desk, but people at home were expecting. Teams like Aurora, teams like Nessie.
Yeah, talk about it, honestly, with Aurora finishing off that last game in 16th with only 1 KP. Again, a little tough to rotate, but at least it was still on that southwestern side of Stormpoint where Aurora will be able to rotate from Cenote there too. And then Forbidden as well, also with 1 KP. Even with players being able to get the high KP game that we usually get to see them, they did not get the placement for that final game.
Yeah, and full English. We were talking about them in the round number 1 or ring number 1, excuse me, ring number 2, rotating down with almost red Evo shields. We were expecting much better things out of them just for that context alone. The fact that they had so much progress on their Evo shields, that their fights in the mid game should have been a little bit easier, but I don't know exactly what happened with their rotate, what they ended up running into that caused them so much trouble. But we definitely needed to see them being able to play hard edge from there and really convert that into more points.
Well, everyone tried their best at the end of the day, and it was a great start to Split 2. 6 games gone by, and Jamerson and Vicky, great cast as well to finish out the last 2 on Storm Point. It was always going to be coming down to the wire with how tight this group seemed to be. Even teams like Passion UA, who were sitting, I think, in behind 10th place with a 27 bomb, 15 kills, and a first place finish, put themselves most likely somewhere within the top 4, maybe even the top 3 today, especially with teams like Vex, who had played so well, having a goose egg in game 6, which is uncharacteristic of how they performed. I think what we've seen across the board, though, guys, is that EMEA has woken up, and it is a new version, a new opportunity for these teams and players. They feel it, they're taking it on, and it's really helped us to carve out the next set of stars that I think the ALGS will be pushing in Split 2. And we will get to them very, very soon. But let's go back first into how these last 3 games transpired. Game 4, it would be Passion. And I was casting that one alongside you, Vicky. It was really a strong start to Storm Point, but it wasn't Passion that would kind of keep our eyes on lock here. It would be Eternal. It would be the aggressive play that would come up from so much of these teams that fought Infinite, fought Atlas from the very beginning, and then now ran into just a tough situation with Passion sitting on top of that rock to finish them off. It was great positioning, and Passion, I got to give it to them. While they may not have done enough to win this overall day, they've got 4 top 5 finishes. That is pretty strong from them. Vicky, game 2, or game 5, I should say, in Storm Point would be a different story, though.
Oh yeah, our second game on Storm Point, of course, here, well, Na'Vi is going to be able to hold a great spot, but also the timing to third-party the squad that could have displaced them from the exact positioning that they were in, holding Pride Rock over the team that they were looking right below and cleaning up so much free KP from the squads that had to exit from the bridge. We could see them here. They not only get the scan, but they also have the utility in terms of the ults. We saw the Beast of the Hunt activated in Q with the smoke too, so that way they could prevent them from closing in that distance. But it's about getting aggressive at the right time here, and that's exactly what your Bloodhound should be doing, the entry frag for your team. And Na'Vi being able to take that dub was huge there for them as they finished with 13 KP.
Jamerson, match 6, we just came from it. Walk us through how things finished.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is another strong finish for Max Strafey and company, but it was Gaiman trying to get aggressive here. The wall down for Lufka, they just weren't able to really utilize this well. They had a lot of things they had to worry about, of course, right? They didn't have utility, unfortunately. They didn't have nades, and they even if they had nades, it wouldn't have been for anything because they've got an extra gen set up. But Sonya, that was the pressure. Once they got that crack onto Blast, force him off this angle, Sonya was able to take it over for himself and just finish things off strong for them. Passion UA, that was a great way to finish off the day. What a fantastic display.
And you can see it right here overall, the series results. You want to know what happened? Well, Passion started out in the lead. Next up right behind them, and it would be Gaiman Gladiators, who would find a way to jump up to the top of the table and claim the day 1 of Split 2 victory. Next up with a 2nd place, Passion right after them, and Passion UA finishing in 4th. That is because of their 27-point game 6, by the way. Vex, a missed opportunity, you have to say. 0 points in that final match. If they had had a decent game, we could be looking at a different winner overall. And maybe a little bit of a surprise here, Vicky Aurora, you had talked about it, but just 9th place. There's not much to say. We know they've got the potential, but it wasn't their best, strongest start.
No, it wasn't. Honestly, that 36 points is something that they were holding on to for quite some time. It just didn't look like Storm Point really swayed in their favor there. But then we get to see the more consistent teams coming in, like Gladiators, Passion UA, of course, there too, staying on top, right behind Passion. I mean, both these teams obviously have a lot of passion right now.
Clearly, I mean, there's too much passion. There's 2 types of passion there, one UA and then one just normal passion. But, you know, I like all kinds and varieties here. That's the beauty of the ALGS. It's a diverse place, and we continue to see it here. A diverse set of results, too. I mean, even Nessie, I like how you guys brought that up. The full English, whether they're full English or Forge, still right outside of that top 10. I think these are things they're going to work on throughout this split. But also, yeah, Nessie, Graceful, and JMW trying to find their rhythm as a team. It is difficult to bounce in and back, but we know these are long tenure competitors, whether it's variety of FPS hero shooters over a span of 10 years to be in this position. So we know that they will bounce back, but a very exciting day. Very, very exciting. And that means we get to award some MVP nominations to players who have been exceptional in these days that always catch us by surprise, because we never know how a split is going to start. And a team that had changed their makeup, but not their name, came out with a blast. And no, I'm not talking about Blast. I'm talking about Light, the MVP for today, who supported Lufka. This old omit squad did not omit a single bullet in most of their team fights, finding the bodies, the headshots, and even some of the limbs peeking outside the corner that would make the difference, hailing from Poland and figuring out a way to stay in that positive damage dealing and receiving back and forth. It's just such a fun way to look at a team and at a team structure, where just something like a roster change, something like a new split, you can make you go from zero to hero, can make you have this new sense of identity. And sometimes, whether it's in real life or whether it's in the game, you just need a fresh start to show people what you're all about. And I love it, Jamerson. Like you said, Light and you know, this team, so good, Gaming Gladiators.
Yeah, and I think one thing we really do have to highlight for Gaiman Gladiators is the fact that their two best games, right? They had that one Epicenter game when we were on World's Edge. Well, we're seeing two different aspects of their game, right? They had to play Edge on that one. I believe they came in second place with a smattering of kills. Here, they had to play Center Zone. And so it's really good indicator of the team, the strength of the team, if they're able to play both styles and do it well and score well. And I think being able to see them actually pull out both facets of their gameplay today is a really good showing, especially here on day number 1.
Well, it's one of the interesting things, you know, where we get to see this parity. A lot of things change, but some things have this interesting bookend from where they started. And it was just a few weeks ago where we were interviewing this guy and his qualification to being able to be a part of our LAN and doing so well in this split, kind of having a resurgence. Well, now they start off where they left off here in split 2. And of course, I'm talking none other than Mr. Jamie Levine himself, Blast, who is going to be joining us as our interview for our final part of today. Blast, are you there? Are you with us?
Yes, hello. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. It's great to hear from you again. Congratulations on the win today. I just want to get in your headspace. How you feeling after the offseason, going in with Gaming Gladiators now, new representation, and taking the W, your first time out?
Yeah, I mean, I feel great, man. We definitely showed what we wanted to show. We honestly could have had way more points today, but we definitely played out of our minds. Yeah, it was a great day. Very happy.
Yeah, and to note, I mean, we do have a different aspect to this split, right? And it's the simple fact that we have the new POI draft system, and you guys were in a unique position when it came to the draft with this snake system, right? If you're first start, you're also last pick, but here you were in the middle, right there, and I believe the 19th and the 22nd picks or 21st picks overall. Do you think that actually benefited you guys today, having that unique position in the draft?
Yeah, I think, you know, we ended up getting really good picks. Definitely, honestly, it could have been so much worse. We were very surprised to get what we did get in the first place. We were not expecting to be able to get, you know, Echo and launch site for free. But being able to have those POIs was insane for us. I mean, we've played from launch site in the previous Pro League, and Echo is just an amazing POI all around. So it was perfect for us, yeah. Very happy with it.
That's a great look here, too, for your squad. You know, even being able to stay as consistent as you guys have been, you know, exiting out of the omit name, leaving that behind, and now repping the Gaming Gladiators sign. I mean, being able to also stick with your team. How have you guys made the adjustments from playoffs now over here for Split 2 after seeing your performance getting top 10 over at LAN, which is not an easy feat to do?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's been crazy. I think one of the biggest things that has happened for us is me and Lufka had a like complete role swap. Lufka went onto the anchor role, and I went onto the more fragger refragger. A big part of this, like we had always known that Lufka had the instincts to be an anchor, like a very, very good one. He always had the instincts, but we just didn't have the time, and we didn't know if we could take the risk. And after that LAN, we just said, you know what, screw it, we're gonna do this. And it ended up being a situation where I'm really, really good at what I'm doing on Bloodhound. And Lufka's really, really good at cool stick, and I guess it's showing in our performance.
It certainly is. Blast, you know, I hate to say it, man, I'm getting tired of interviewing you. You guys are just winning too many big moments too often. But you know what? In many ways, I'm sure that your fans, your supporters are always happy to see you on here. In many ways, we are as well. It's great to see this new split, this new role swap, and obviously now the new leaders of EMEA so far, at least after day one in the Gaming Gladiators. Congratulations, my friend, and we wish you luck in the upcoming games of the split.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
All right, blast everybody. Gaming Gladiators, they take the W in day number 1 of Split 2. It's awesome to see Vicky, and obviously talking to Blast, just a great mind for the game. I remember that interview we did just, you know, about a month and a half ago. It was great, and always great to speak to him. But day 1 in EMEA, let's wrap it up. Vicky, I'll leave it to you here to close us out with your thoughts on the first day back in Split 2.
These POI drops have changed everything for the ALGS, and I'm very much enjoying the outcome of what we've witnessed already for our first day. It's just a crumb of the information that we could really work off of to see how some more of these teams decide to make some adjustments to be even more consistent depending on which POI they want to pick for that week.
It's been the talk of the town. Jamerson, you've been bringing it up as well in the interviews and throughout the cast. It's been great to see it, but we finally have our first day, our first set of 6 games of action here with the POI draft. How's your takeaway after 6?
I mean, at the beginning of the day, I said it's like basically coming back to the first day of school, right? And being able to have that interview with Nasky was, I think, one of the most enlightening things, and really being able to pick his brain about it was great, because he said himself, this is the season, this is the split that's going to test the best IGLs. I think this is a welcome change to Apex Legends, because we did want to know who are the best IGLs. And I think after initiating a system like this, implementing a system like this, it really is going to tell who the best IGLs are. EMEA, so many players have such a long history when it comes to competitive Apex Legends now, and everyone speaks of their legends, but now it's going to be proven at the end of this split. So I'm really excited. We're going to be moving on to NA. Same story there. Lots of shakeups. I'm really excited to finish out this day.
Well, great job to both of you. Thanks so much for your work here in EMEA, and we will be back at it very soon with North America. So don't feel like you're not going to see Vicky and Jamerson again, chat. They will be back very shortly. However, we do have to transition into what is coming up next. The journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first one. And while we took our first in EMEA today, we will continue in just a few hours, about an hour and a half, to take our next step in North America. And you know what that means. It means that the talk of Super Team, the talk of the ALGS, maybe the biggest gravity-shaking change we have seen yet. Hal leaves TSM, joins Dark Zero, they join Falcons, and they become maybe the team to beat. But there's still TSM left, and if you forgot about Verholz, well, you might want to remember, they will be back in the lobby with Reps and Zapto joining the fray. Can this 3 reclaim the glory and the title and surprise us all? Or will we continue to see the likes of Elevate, now with the POI draft, not having to force them to contest, really help them step up for the challenge? LG, sweet, you can never count them out. Punk and Slayer continuing to be players that have an impact in this league. We'll see what North America is cooking up. All those changes coming up in just a few hours. So what's the suggestion? Grab some lunch, have some water, maybe take a quick nap. Follow us on Play Apex Esports on X and on YouTube, and download Apex if you haven't played it, and play it right now. You've got, a couple of ranked games in you. You got some pubs, you got some solos, whatever it is in season 21, go enjoy yourself. For now, though, we're going to sign off and give a big thank you to our production team, every one of you who's watching, all of our pros in EMEA, and a reminder to tune in to North America. As always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and we will see you all in just a little bit.